Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 9th of March 2013. Start of Season 4 of the Saladcast! With our brand new intro, which me and Zach haven't heard yet, but you've just heard. So I hope you enjoyed that, listeners. And joining me today, the architect and writer of that theme, Robert Kemp.
Do you architect music?
I was trying to think of the word. Artist, musician.
Because like...
Composer. Yeah.
I was trying to work out, is there a way you can architect music? Like, I suppose maybe that's what you're doing when you're doing like themed music to a degree or something, and you're trying to,
or like a film score or something.
Yeah, maybe. Like if you're doing a concept piece, maybe it's more of an architecture thing because you're architecting the sound to sound like the thing that your concept is.
Is that the verb for doing architecting?
I don't think so.
What do you think it is?
Is there a verb for that?
There is.
No.
Designing your architecture, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
Architecting.
What are you doing? Being an architect. Doesn't sound quite right.
Architecturalising.
And also here, Zachary Burgess.
Woo. It's my traditional start of the year statement, I guess.
It's your traditional, I'm not infused that we've been doing this for so long statement.
I'm infused.
He is infused.
Just about some other things, sometimes.
I'm infused, just not about this.
Man.
I expect we'll have plenty of things to talk about, for a change.
You reckon?
This week.
Was last week full of random? I think it was.
I think we had
Quite a lot of
random.
random. It was a PlayStation meeting last week.
There was Rob's giant dream sequence, and that took up quite a long time.
That was like a mid-section.
It was like 2 minutes.
It's like a nice...
I think it was slightly more than 2 minutes. Or it felt a little more than 2 minutes.
Oh dear.
I'm glad my emotional turmoil is of that much importance to you.
Indeed.
Or my fake emotional turmoil.
Yeah, your subconscious turmoil that you don't know what it means. What does it mean?
What does it mean? Read my dream. Apparently I must have been having another dream the other night because I apparently elbowed Gnome in the face.
Ow.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're having a dream.
What time in the night? Like
I don't know.
In the morning?
I can't remember what time it was. I just remember being woke up going, oh, what the elbow! That's all I know. I don't remember doing it or anything. Just going, eh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm getting bad cat allergy today. Don't know why. I took a Benadryl drill, y'all.
Benadryl, y'all.
Exactly. Doesn't seem to have helped yet.
And you're using an incredibly loud tissue.
Is that actually...
I did wonder if there's...
Stop doing it, and then we'll find out.
Okay.
That's one thing I've noticed over the recent episodes is that sniff. We need like a sniff button on the mic or something.
Yeah, there's no...
Hello. Here comes the fourth member of this podcast.
Yeah, so what happened when I elbowed you in the face?
I punched you back.
Oh, did you? Was that why I woke up? You punched me?
No, I woke you awake.
Okay.
Shook you awake.
Woke you awake. That makes sense. Yeah, so anyway.
So random.
Yeah, that's that out of the way.
Oh man, I know... talking about another podcast, but we always talk about it. The random on the Giant podcast this week lasted 45 minutes.
That was awesome.
It was awesome, but still, it was like ridiculous length of random. Our random seems to be contained to about
cut out all this
hour.
meta.
I don't know.
Have we ever done that before? We've meted quite badly. We've meted. That's what I said.
Did you architect?
Did I architecturalise the method?
That wasn't the word. What was it?
I've been
Architecting. That was it.
Oh, we've just been bought live
Board game playing on a podcast.
A family 10 game centre. Oh my god! I used to play tons of Chinese checkers. I don't know why. I think it was like because it was a fancy board and it had like holes in it.
Yeah, basically.
And what the hell is Mancala?
Mancala.
Mancala.
You have to put the things in the holes. I was halfway through that sentence and I realised that was the greatest description of a game.
I'm good at that. I can tell you that now.
Although, to be honest, that's how you play Chinese checkers as well. You put the things in the holes.
Put the things in the holes, and then you take the thing out of the hole, and then you put it in a different hole. Player.
You wish.
That cribbage sounds a lot like, it looks a lot like
Putting things in
Mastermind.
holes.
Yeah, that's true.
Solitaire doesn't look like there's things in holes, though, which is normally how Solitaire's laid out.
That might be like pegs in or things in
Divots.
Yeah.
Anyway,
things in divots.
we talk about computer games, for Christ's sake.
Let's not. Let's talk about Family 10 Game Centre.
How many of these games have you actually played? Like, is this like a sign of our time or something? It's like I don't know what the fuck roller map is.
No.
I've heard of cribbage.
No idea
but I
how
don't
to
know
play
what the fuck it is. This version of Solitaire that they've shown looks a bit. Reminds me of Blind Man's Bluff, which I have played, but.
Well, it's just Solitaire, but they're using the black and white pieces from the other games, which is why it's black and white.
When you say it's just Solitaire, but it's not like card Solitaire.
No, it's Solitaire, the board game, where you take out the middle peg, and then you just, every time you jump over one of the other pegs, you remove it from the board, and you just have to clear the board.
Oh. I might have.
That's how you play Solitaire.
I might know that then. I just, never knew it was called that. It was a Solitaire thing. I suppose that's the definition of Solitaire, isn't it? It doesn't have to be tied to any particular style, it's just...
Or it's solo.
Yeah, it's a solo game.
Is that what that means? Playing your own Solitaire?
I don't know. That's what everyone thinks it means nowadays.
Tic-tac-toe shouldn't be here.
No.
It's a non-game. I've never played backgammon.
I have no idea how that works either.
That's a lie. I don't know how it works, and I remember trying to play it on a shitty shareware disc on my Amiga.
Well, yeah, everyone had a shitty backgammon computer game at some point. The guy had one on the Atari.
Yeah, I never did work out how that played.
No.
Games. Shareware.
Yeah.
There you go, that was my link, but no, we're going to move on.
Oh, here comes Dad's allergy ball. The cat is approaching.
Welcome, Kitty. Welcome to our end of third year celebrations.
And then it leaves.
Bye.
Shut the door, quick.
Don't care about that. I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm sure it's just the hair over.
Well, I was more worried about the sound of a kettle brewing outside.
Oh, okay,
it's going to be a great podcast so far.
Yeah,
it's going well so far. Well,
I'm just looking at this picture of Mancala, and it looks like you've had to organise the meds for an elderly relative.
Yeah, basically.
It does, yeah.
You have to put the things in the holes, and there's some score points value, and you have to shift them from one hole to the other and stuff. I don't know. That's vaguely how I remember that game working.
You know, every time I play, we'll play this or even talk about this pass out game. Every time I look at that in my head, there's that song by what's his face.
That song by what's his face?
I can't remember his name. Black rapper, fairly big, British.
Oh, Dizzy Rascal?
No, not Dizzy Rascal.
Who's black and British? Not very... Lenny Henry.
Yeah, he's a rapper.
No.
He says, "Let's go!"
I'm only joking.
Oh, God, that's really bad. How can I not remember? It's not Tinchy Strider. It's
him.
It's not him.
Okay.
But it's, for some reason, that name keeps coming into my head. Oh.
Because there aren't very many super famous British black rappers.
No, he's sung on a Swedish House Mafia song. He's done... he's on a chase. Tiny Temper, that's it, yes.
Tiny. I don't know. Tiny
Temper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of all the famous black.
I didn't forget a T, hence Tinchy, I suppose.
And then, what about his song?
He has a song called Pass Out.
Oh, okay then. That was the most tortured link. Let's help Rob remember the name of this guy, and then it's a song.
But yeah,
But for
some reason that's what it reminded me of every time.
For some reason, it's the name of the bloody song.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not for some reason. That's a perfectly logical reason.
Till we hit the ground.
Direct link. I want to name myself someone or other and release that song as my first single.
That's a great idea.
That'd be pretty funny.
Something or other. Would something or other work in other countries, or would you have all these thingy bombs?
Thingy bomb.
I think thingy bomb is probably more English.
Yeah,
okay,
probably.
Well. Doohickey. That might work in.
That's like a thing, though. A thingy-bob or a doohickey is a physical object. Whereas
Yeah.
I think.
Just call yourself Stuff and have the song be called Things.
Things like Stuff. I bet there's already a band called Stuff.
I bet there probably is. Probably a band called Things.
Well, no,
that's quite a good name, though.
But you could have so your band name could be Proxy or something like that, and then any song.
What? Something by Proxy?
Yeah, any song name is a verb. It's murder by proxy.
Or No One.
No one by proxy.
No, it's the other way around. By no one.
By no one. Bye-bye. There's a song called Hello.
Hello, bye-bye. That would be really good.
I was thinking you could call themselves you could call them the bye, and then be by the bye every time.
Anything that starts with the word, any word that begins with bye could be good. Like bisexual,
cycle,
bi-curious,
cycle,
bicycle.
It's scary considering when I walked in, you were talking about putting things in people's holes.
We didn't
No,
say
we weren't.
people.
We weren't talking about
you
it.
inferred that. That was in your mind. That
Yeah. This is like we're a family show.
You're not allowed to be,
show.
it's like you're not allowed to be scared by that. You were the one who caused it. You brought this game with holes and things into the house.
Things that must be placed in holes. Player.
Don't hate the player. Hate the game.
Yeah, clearly. I think we probably hate 7 of those games.
Family 10 Game Centre. It's just a strange.
It's a shit way of starting.
The Family 10 Game Centre.
Well, I suppose it's a centre of 10 games, therefore it's a 10-game centre, and then the theme is family, so it's a
How is
family
any board game family, really? Most of those... I mean, for a start, one of those games is to be played one player.
Well, that's.
And then, most of the rest of them are to be played 2 player.
Oh, yes, but all of your family aren't there all the time.
When your family isn't here,
Yeah.
this game becomes your family.
Well, that's why there's 10 of them, right? So
It's plenty of holes. Sounds like a family to me.
if you've got an odd number of people, then the left out person gets to play the one player game.
Well, assuming that
You just end up
it
playing
doesn't
Chinese.
use the same pieces.
You just end up playing
That's what I'm
Chinese
wondering.
checkers all the time because it's like 6-player.
Yeah, exactly. That's the family game.
Makes sense.
And then you pass out. Has it actually got... Hang on, wait. I was about to say, has it actually got... It's got like a picture of chess.
Yes,
Actually
I
got
counted
chess.
the others, and there's 9 numbers.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, what? Have they just put chess on the box and not actually included chess?
Chess is the only one that matters, but that's also definitely not a family game.
No.
Yeah, your one child that's good at math will kick your ass at it.
And it takes fucking forever. It's the main problem with chess.
Well, it doesn't
Depends how
have
good
to.
you are.
Well, yeah, but if you're good enough to play it fast, like you know what moves to do, then you're already playing chess way too much, and you don't need to play it with your family.
That's true.
Well, if I was playing it as well, I'd probably get the pieces confused and do so. I'm going to sacrifice my king. Oh, wait. Wait, isn't there a rule about you putting yourself into a situation like that?
Yeah, you're
Like, you
not
can't
allowed
put
to
yourself
move
in.
into
Check.
for obvious reasons, because then you'd lose.
That would be dumb.
Yeah, but surely at that point you deserve to lose if you've done that.
Not really.
What? So that you can't, do that irritating thing of, I'm going to lose anyway, suicide.
No, maybe.
I suppose.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure you could sort that out with yourself, and you just don't say it.
Well, it also probably had some other implication at some point, like scoring or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Back in the scoring days. I don't know what.
Back in those scoring days. Remember those days when we used to actually keep score when we were playing chess? Nowadays, it's just all...
You just play until you win.
Exactly. What's with that?
There was scoring?
No, I'm just making shit up.
I didn't know if you were talking about that as a way of like working out ELO or something.
Well, I was thinking that maybe that would be a reason for that rule. Like, if you wanted to stop the other guy from scoring more points by taking the rest of your pieces off the board, you just sacrifice yourself when you knew you were pretty much already done.
Maybe, but as I said, I don't think ELO is ever ranked like that, is it? It's the skill of the 2 players, sort of like, you'll get a certain amount.
But how do you rate skill in chess?
By your ELO.
Your ELO is determined by your ELO. It's a logical system.
No, the change in ELO is ranked by your ELO. That's how these things
But
work.
the only thing that gives you points in chess is winning.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Like, it's a very binary system at that point. So you have to play... Basically, that's why you have to play so much fucking chess. Because in order to get your ELO to move at all, you have to play tons.
I suppose that's the same with like if you're trying to get on the pro gaming circuit.
Well, then,
You have to
pro
make a
gaming is more a
reputation for yourself.
matter of practice.
Yeah, but how do you make a name for yourself in order to become a pro gamer? It's like you
By
have
actually
to
being good at it.
you have to play a shit ton of it, and for people to recognise you, and then that and like.
I don't think you have to play a shit ton of it. You could, if there was like some guy who was just a savant and he just sat down and destroyed everyone immediately, then he could probably be a pro gamer.
Yes, but had you become known to get sponsorship to be a pro gamer? Unless you were just happened to go to the pro gamer guys like straight off and said, "Fuck this, I could do it."
Yeah,
but, they probably don't do that.
Or you had an exhibition match or something.
But they probably don't do that because there's probably a million applicants saying, "I want to be a pro gamer. I want to be a pro gamer. I'm like 12."
They don't do that. They just look at in StarCraft. They just look at like the top 100 players in the country,
and that's my point. You're gonna have to play a ridiculous amount of StarCraft to get in that board.
No, but because
it won't rank you against someone that's that much better than you.
No, it does.
It has it has a sort of staggered system where it will rank you someone that's a few levels above.
Well,
you.
I didn't mean that. I mean, even I think there's matches where it can just rank well out. It's not just. It's when you're playing your normal matches. It's like the ones near you. But I think it does have like especially at the start of the season, of course, in StarCraft, where it's like the ranking matches, where it's basically your first matches of that season, where it doesn't know where to put you. It's just like random people.
You'd have to
try your luck.
You'd have to win a major tournament, is what I'm saying, and those things could be pretty epic as well. You know, in length.
I think there's probably ways to discover skill that's not just looking at the ranking.
Well, I don't know how you do that in video games, really, because it's not like you have talent scouts like going through Team Fortress 2, like spectating on random games.
Well, not on Team Fortress 2.
There's all kinds of performance metrics that you can look at. There was at my work that we have something that does something like that, but apparently the Microsoft one's called True Skill or whatever. And it's supposed to be
and that's what they're supposedly using on Xbox since its initiation, but I don't think anyone uses that correctly since Halo 2.
No.
Yeah, it worked then, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mostly.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, then it got steadily worse from there.
Well, I think it was mostly just an ELO system. Like, your team won, you did well on the team, therefore you get more ELO. You lost, but you were good on your team, so you'd lose less than... I think it was like just a rough ELO but metric, but for some reason that worked really well. Whereas, modern games are just like, rank up, you want to see the numbers go up, rank up.
Well, that's why they need two systems, obviously.
Yeah, you need to. Well, they sort of try and do that, I think, with COD, because when I was trying to experiment with League COD on Blops 2, and it's like because they have that thing. They basically do that. They have ladder matches within these leagues, and that's quite obviously completely separate from your experience rating or how many times you've prestiged. So yeah,
like ranking stuff. So yeah, we've got this new guy at work who's been doing stuff for years. Apparently, he did the AI for Forza 1.
Oh wow!
Yeah, did the control software and everything for it.
Because that was incredibly ambitious.
Yeah,
Forza 1.
Yeah, it's weird because Forza 1 was made in Redmond by a huge team, but apparently there were two guys in Cambridge who were doing the AI. And this
the Drivatar thing, you mean? He wrote Drivatar.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, well, they had that thing where it was like
train it. And
yeah.
The AI most of the AI in that game was never programmed.
That's it.
All trained.
That's it. That's what he did.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's our new guy. But he's recently done this sort of football ranking algorithms thing where he takes in all the data from all the key performance indicators, like how far players run and stuff, and shots on target, and all the different statistics, and compile them together, and then you can run his sparse Bayesian filter that basically works out what's the most important features, or what are the ones that really make a difference to the win. And the first time he did it, he put all 50 million or whatever performance indicators into the software, and it came out with two vitally important stats for whether you're going to win or lose. And it turns out with 100% accuracy, or with 100% correlation, scoring more goals and conceding less goals means you win more matches. So he took those ones out and ran it again. And that's quite funny.
It's quite hard to win a football game if you don't have the ball. As the old quote goes.
That was quite hilarious.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
So basically, so it's not even a ratio when you say like scoring and conceding? Do you mean like the ratio between, or is it like the teams that win the league are the ones that score the most goals? Because you could theoretically win the league without scoring the most goals.
No, sorry, it was as dumb as it sounds.
It was the ratio.
It was a ratio per match or whatever. So it's like literally the scoreline means whether or not you lose depends on the scoreline. It turns out, basically.
Well, even by that stat, you could win by small ratios.
Yeah, that's
compared
true.
to 3-2 victories, I guess.
But he had all kinds of interesting stuff. It was pretty cool because it was like converting boring numbers and then weighting it by the statistics of, how important this ranking is or whatever, and then he turned it into little bars, almost like a computer game, which is really cool. You could see at a glance.
Was it that film Moneyball?
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Is he just doing that to football?
Basically, that was his plan, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, because we don't really have that stat culture, do we?
I think he was trying to do that, but nobody bought it because they were getting uppity and saying, we know what we're talking about already.
But that's Moneyball.
I know.
You need to find one guy who wants to adopt the system, and so you can build an ultimate team of losers. Yeah. And then that are strangely combined to make the ultimate stat team.
Exactly.
And you will win.
Yeah, I need to see that film now.
Yeah, so do I. It wasn't shown in this country, but very, very limited, which is a shame because it's supposed to be very good.
I'll check that out. So anyway, if we need an interview with the guy who did the thwart AI, that might be put on the cards. He also apparently...
That's pretty incredible, though, because that AI was groundbreaking.
It was really good, yeah. Exactly, it was groundbreaking. He showed a little video of it learning and being ultimately shit to start off with, and then getting really good over the track. So presumably they would... I don't know, I'll have to talk to him about it, but presumably they trained... each car, the AI on each car separately.
Or at least the various types of car.
Yeah, on the physics of each car.
Which is great, because it was what gave the game that sort of, people can muck up sensation that hadn't really come before it, not that I'm aware, anyway. Okay, it sort of happened in games of shit AI, like, I don't know, the Screamer AI would occasionally cock up and then get stuck.
Yeah.
But you hadn't really seen it in a convincing manner, where it's like they've tried to take this corner right, but they've just lost grip or something and have slid out. And it basically started that trend. So wow, kudos to that guy. Yeah,
he's pretty cool. Apparently, he did some of the driving physics on Crackdown, which impressed me less. There you go. Let's see what else.
That is a strange move.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I have to see what else he's done. But yeah, so random skill ranking story there.
Yeah, probably do.
So
he's skanking.
He's top ranking. So video games. What are the news? What's the news? You got any news?
You know what? I don't. But the problem is that most of the news this last week has been centered around SimCity.
That's true. I have one news that I saw the other day that was kind of cool.
A single news.
Is there a
word for a singular news?
Yes, a news.
Or is it a new?
It's a news item, isn't it? Or something?
Because isn't that why it's called the news? Because it's
there's more than one.
Because it's several new events, so it's the news.
So, but when someone says, "Have you heard the news?" and they're talking about one new,
the news. Well, the news. Maybe that's probably where it started.
I've got news for you means you have at least two things to convey.
Oh, but news sounds plural. When you say it like that, that definitely says plural. Yeah, I've got news. But because you don't say I've got a food, do you? You say I've got food.
You don't say I've got foods, though.
You can.
You can, but
if you're a grocer, I have foods.
I'm not sure that's a very
on your
legitimate...
accounts, it would probably look on your books, it would probably look like foods.
Not sure that's a very legitimate graphic sentence for now.
Foods is a real word.
So anyway, my new...
New. What's new?
Is that Microsoft are re-releasing Age of Empires 2 in HD multi-monitor support on Steam with Steamworks.
Holy shit.
Like, what?
That's quite weird.
So it's quite
how would they make that HD?
It's
basically pixel art.
Yeah.
Wasn't it HD anyway? Or is it like, are they doing a complete graphic revamp?
No, I think it looks the same. It's
They've
just
just allowed
they
larger
fixed it
resolutions.
for large reses and stuff. And there were some tweaks, I think, to the graphics and stuff.
Multi-mod support.
Yeah,
on a strategy game.
Yeah.
On the pixel art strategy.
What are they going to do? Are they going to have one screen devoted to the map, or is it so you can move 2 viewports?
It looked like you could move 2 independent viewports from this footage I was watching.
That could be pretty cool, actually.
Which is quite hilarious.
Because you could have one on your base at all times.
Yeah.
You can do that in Settlers 2, fuck 'em.
Can you?
Yeah, you can open a window that is another viewport and then scroll that little mini viewport around the map. So you can have like a little window open which shows you somewhere else.
Oh, was it active as well?
Yeah, you could actually click on things through it.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
Settlers 2, groundbreaking.
Well, Settlers 2 had multiplayer where you play on the same computer with 2 mice. So
did Lemmings.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit was amazing.
So yes,
it's hard to be stealthy in a game like that.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the whole idea of Settlers 2, where it's like you just look at the other half of the screen and see what the other guy's doing.
What's going on here?
No fucking war there.
So Age of Empires.
Yeah.
That
One
was
and
only
all,
you.
bitches.
When we were talking about this, did we mention this on the cast before? Because you stumbled upon that they were doing, was it Close Quarters or Close Combat?
Oh yeah,
on
because I
iOS.
was wondering about that. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't have any
We did talk about that before,
new for that. Unfortunately,
No
news.
I suppose they're doing more Room on iOS.
Yeah, that's not really news.
No.
That's just a sequel.
Yeah.
A fairly obvious
A
sequel.
sequel and a free DLC pack, but I haven't played The Room yet. I probably should pick that up. It's something to do on my iPad.
The Room, is that unrelated to
It's unrelated to Tommy Wiseau.
It's not the new.
The
new. The room. The rooms.
The Rooms.
That's what the sequel's going to be called, clearly.
The house. The block. The ghetto.
I watched...
I don't know what
this
ghetto
isn't
is.
really news, but it was from a news story, but I saw a stupid video of the most ludicrous Pokemon Yellow hack you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Where, because you know how there's the speedrun of Pokemon Yellow where you save the game but then reset halfway through saving so it corrupts the save file,
Right.
and then you move corrupted Pokemon around in the list and it basically edits the memory.
Yeah.
And then you make it
yeah.
so the door out of your house just leads you to the end, and then you win.
Awesome.
Well, like then someone was like, "Wait, it edits the memory. Let's take this to the logical conclusion." So what they did was like they did that hack, and then instead of just making the door take them to the end, they started moving a load of different items around and basically reprogrammed the entire game. Well,
What?
they basically, using the item list that they store in their computer, they made a programming language that could be operated by the Game Boy's buttons. And this is all tool assisted, so obviously you can actually do this
So you could
fast.
compile it.
But so you make a programming language inside the game basically, and then when you trigger it, it basically crashes the game, and then you just input loads of commands on the button, and then rewrite a whole new program inside the game, and it just like he just drew like a pixel art picture and made a new music song out of the sound effects that are stored on the card. It's like that's pretty ridiculous.
Well, isn't that sort of
The best memory editing.
it's pretty good that they made a compiler out of the friggin' out of the glitch. But isn't that kind of like the similar vein to how homebrew stuff, comes about? How these like console hacks start.
Well, yeah,
They find a glitch in the system that basically just opens up somewhere where they can inject code.
it's just like fuck speedrunning. Let's just write a whole new game.
It's pretty cool.
I did see an article the other day on the programming Reddit about how Pokemon stats are actually stored with like bit masks and stuff instead of that takes a character and you puts 8 booleans in that or whatever by flipping the bits and stuff like that, all kinds of crazy. So they fitted it into a tiny amount of space all in.
Which is why it's so easy to fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
Why you get
exactly.
missing no and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
all that stuff about old memory management is fascinating because
Yeah.
there's some seriously famous glitches for stuff. Is it Final Fantasy VI? I think it is, where there's a lot of you can mess with a particular part where a character's supposed to die, and you can bring them back to life after them when they're supposed to be by flipping which character is in a certain memory slot at a certain time by reloading a save.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are the glitches I kind of like, the ones that you can do legitimately just by using the game in a certain way.
Here's another sort of related story that Rob's going to like, but not that much because he might also be saddened.
Not a lot.
Where there's someone discovered that if you have a Game Genie, or the equivalent, the more modern equivalent for the GameCube.
Okay, yeah.
And you shove F-Zero GX in there, there's actually F-Zero AX is on the disc. You can actually access the arcade version by Game Genie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the difference?
Just time trial, basically. It has a countdown and your time extends when you do the lap or whatever.
It plays it away.
And slightly different tracks, I think.
Well, the AX tracks were available in GX anyway.
Yeah.
As unlocked. But the advantage to that potentially could be because it had the arcade machines let you plug in your GameCube memory card.
Yeah.
So you could unlock more ship parts. And some of those, I think you could get most of the ship parts through GX anyway, but some of the harder ones were ridiculous because it forced you to do the very hard variants of the story missions and to play through the, I think most of the AX campaigns on like expert difficulty, the super hard difficulty levels with most of the vehicles, really long ranging, will take you friggin' forever to get type stuff, which you could unlock pretty simply if you just played AX.
Yeah.
So that would help in getting more ship parts.
Well, in theory, assuming that the arcade version running inside the GameCube can still detect your GameCube memory card.
Yeah, and how does it handle insert coin?
Well, yeah, that's
things like that.
That's the other question.
There's hardware that's missing, and
it is pretty funny when it shows a video of it and it starts off and it shows like a picture of the arcade cabinet where it describes the function of the cabinet. It's like, yep, apparently that is the arcade version then.
I love that. I love the fact it's just one code base. It's the same game, and there's some switch somewhere that just tells it to. You're loading the GameCube version now.
It's sort of weird in its own way. It's like,
it is kind of odd. It's like
leave all that data on the disc.
It's like, why would they? I suppose, it's like it's just kind of why would they do that? But I guess the arcade board was basically a GameCube then.
Well, yeah, I guess
the one time a GameCube was probably used for an arcade machine.
That hasn't given me enough time to think of any more news while we were talking about that. I'm sure there was something else. It's already gone. It's got eradicated by this week's news. The one news.
Did we ever talk about aliens, colonial marines, and the disaster?
Well, we don't care.
No,
that
we don't.
Was the thing.
But I always knew it was going to be bad because there's no aliens game that's truly good.
The most logical reason.
People go on about AVP and stuff, and it's all right, but it's not. I've never really liked it. And
the more interesting story about that is what the hell is the deal with
what happened in the time period between the preview video, which looks fucking incredible and like very well, in the preview it looks like they've done so much work to make the setting aliens.
Well, because they've done the work in the preview. That wasn't actually gameplay.
No, it must have all been post. It's a Killzone 2 scenario. But wasn't that supposed to be like, weren't their preview builds of the game that actually did look like that?
There's like a side-by-side video of like the finished product and the preview, the same sections of level. And they're sort of similar looking, but use definitely a lot more detail in the preview, which looks really weird. Like it's obviously the same environment because it's the exact same dimensions, but it just looks shitter in the
must have I guess they must have toned down. Naturally, I imagine there may have been a toning down process to get the thing to run on consoles at some point.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
But that it bled into the actual whole product. But it doesn't excuse the like shonky AI and things like that. And it's like that stuff we probably wouldn't have seen in the preview, but.
No.
The number of times people talk about like having a rant at the moment about games in general and like on internet videos, and in the background all they show is clips from aliens, colonial marines. Like it's like it doesn't have to be talking about that specifically. They'll just talk about something that's annoyed them about the industry, and they'll show like there's a couple of clips that get reused everywhere, like a really big alien just standing there while the guy's just unloading bullet after bullet after bullet into it.
Yeah.
And there's one of like a little dog thing just walking into a barrier right in front of him, and he sort of moves slightly around, and the dog sort of follows him but can't work out how to get around this barrier.
Oh dear.
It's like like dog alien, I suppose. It looks a bit like a dog.
Yeah.
Looks a bit like a skag actually with a head mask on it.
Classic.
Yeah.
And you just got the xenomorphs like twitching in closets.
Yeah, and your allies that are just oblivious to your presence and shooting right at you, but of course you don't take any damage because they're not actually damaging the aliens either. It's like they're just there. It's like, yeah, that game just looks beyond awful.
Does look pretty terrible. But I just don't understand the Gearbox whole deal.
Yeah, or there is that as well. Yeah, that was kind
They
of
make
messed up.
good games, and then they mysteriously take on and release shit games.
Well, there's
no reason. What are they doing?
I'm not sure what happened in Duke Nukem's case. Yeah, that's probably true. They took that one on. But in this case, it sounds like the weirder one is that there have been sort of two quotes that have come out from, I can't remember who by, basically. Don't quote me on the detail here, but one guy basically said and came out and said, well, about 20% of this game was actually made by Gearbox's in-house teams, and the rest of it was all other teams just to get it done, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and then Gearbox, just like PR guys, basically is going, no, this is a Gearbox game. We stand by it, and it's like, well, which of these is true?
They backpedal on that now.
Oh, have they? They've they
now blaming each other.
It was the old classic where, all through the development process, they were releasing developer interview videos where they were like, we love Aliens so goddamn much, we're making the best goddamn Alien games ever.
Yeah.
Well, great fucking job.
So does that mean that every PS4 game is going to be terrible by that logic after that meeting of
Well, a lot of that does happen quite often, really.
Developer wankery.
Basically, they should stop letting developers make developer interview videos, for God's sake.
Yeah,
that's true.
It never work.
They just aren't interesting.
No.
Sometimes there'll be a good one, like some of back in the early Halo days when Bungie used to do them. That was really interesting because I suppose then no one else was really doing it, or there hadn't been many of them. Yeah. It's not like you get many behind-the-scenes game stuff. The Halo 2 Special Edition disc was fascinating, seeing some of those cutscenes in there. How they went about making some of the cutscene stuff. And their pre-rendered states where they're just moving static models about.
Yeah.
It was pretty hilarious.
Classic.
Yeah. That stuff was great. But no one does those well.
Are they always...
Anymore.
It's just they need... I don't know if they don't have enough, but it's they need more... They need another PR guy to look at it and then be like, we can't put that bit in because that's retarded. Stop saying this is going to be the greatest game ever. And let's just get things. Let's not promise some shit. Don't say this is going to be in it when we're not even done programming that yet.
But the boss of Gearbox is Randy Pitchford, and he'll just say anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's the thing. This is not necessarily limited to games, and it's just kind of a media. Well. I'd say lesser extent TV, but film and games at least. They have this annoying superlative requirement, it seems. It's we can't make a game. Awesome. Yeah, we can't make a game that doesn't have some sort of bullet point superlative on the back with a 5-star underneath it. Speaking of which, did you see the Deadpool trailer?
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
That is okay.
What's the deal?
You know Deadpool, right?
I know the character. Are they making a game then?
There is a game coming out by them. It is voiced by.
Actually, who's not very happy with that voice? But,
who's the developer? I can't remember. It's they're fairly big.
No, I can't remember.
That's going to bug me. But fairly big developer working on it. It looks Deadpool is voiced by Nolan North, who also did the MVC game, and I think he's pretty good at it. To be honest, I quite like him doing that.
Yeah, but
it doesn't sound so much like Nolan North as other Nolan North games.
No, that's true. But it's as usual, the classic problem in this situation is he was a comic book character, so everyone had their own idea of what he sounded like.
Yeah, true.
So no one. There's always going to be people who are going to be unhappy.
Yeah. You can't win on that one. So it's the fact that they went big and got a respected voice actor to do it is wise.
Although I wasn't really paying attention, and it's there's barely any it's basically comparing a minute of sound effects. But I think he sounds better in Marvel Discovery.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, I know. It's just
pineapple surprise. He did say bang, bang, bang in the trailer.
Yeah, he did.
And there was some bazookas. And the bit I liked is that apparently, the reason why I brought this up was at the end of the video, it does those stupid fake quote bits. But apparently, depending on which site you go to, those end quotes are different. So it's
that's cool.
They would every site has got a unique version of the video with different stupid quotes in it. It's like, I don't know, I just thought that was neat.
No, that's a good idea. Definitely do that.
Quite a lot of effort,
Oh, yeah.
It's neat, though.
God knows what the game's going to be like, because it doesn't really show you much of it.
Probably going to be some kind of combination of God of War and guns.
Yeah, Bayonetta type thing, yeah. You go talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to figure out who I'm going to work out who dev this, because
you have to work it out. It will take like 2 seconds to look up.
Well, yeah, true.
But first, you have to unlock your phone, and then you have to scroll to the browser icon.
You have to touch the browser icon, then you have to touch the search tab.
Then you have to type.
You should use the Siri thingamajig.
That'd be worse for the podcast.
I don't have Siri on.
Oh, they do now.
Oh, yeah.
On my 4.
Surely you can't be serious. Right, the character Deadpool.
This is probably not what I
wanted. No, that's probably not where you wanted to go.
I was hoping there'd be like a disambiguation page. Damn you, Wiki.
No, the Wiki said if you search for Deadpool, you want the article on Deadpool, right?
But I want the disambiguation. Like all the possibles.
Just put Deadpool game.
Yeah.
That'll probably disambiguate it.
Indeed. So have you ever read a Deadpool comic?
No. I don't think I've ever read any comic. Well, apart from when I was at Rob's house and I did casually browse some of the dumb Sonic comics that were lying around his room all the time.
The old STC.
The classic.
The art's pretty sweet in those, though.
I guess.
They had they had multiple artists in Italy, but the ones when they did the main Sonic threads in that, like some of the artwork for that was pretty great.
Clearly the best storylines ever. The main Sonic story. That's not totally retarded at all.
No, but they had some like side things, like they did some stuff on Echo, didn't they? They did some stuff on like Knuckles-based storylines or Shining Force-based storylines, and the artwork or Decap Attack that came out quite a lot for some reason.
Yeah,
and the art on that was never that great.
I was reading about quite a cool one-shot Superman comic where it was an alternate universe and he'd landed in the Soviet Union and he was like a Soviet superhero.
That just sounds just like a normal idea.
I don't know. It's kind of cool.
It's not quite as big as I thought they were, these devs, but they have had some success because they've worked on Transformers, the last 2 iterations of it, which were relatively well received.
Oh right, yeah.
Like the 2, that
was okay.
The new Cybertron ones, not the. They did what there was one in between the Cybertron games that was like based on the film or something that was terrible, but
you can guarantee that.
Yeah, no, naturally, but the Cybertron games were alright. Wasn't there? What was it? You that tell? Oh yeah, it was last week when we talked about this. Michael Bay working on.
Yeah.
Turtle Power.
Oh, yeah, and he's got What's-Her-Face back even though she hates him or something. Is that right?
What Rihanna?
No, not Rihanna. Why would you say Rihanna?
Wasn't
Megan
she
Fox.
Megan Fox. Wasn't she in that stupid... Oh, no, that wasn't Bay in the end, was it? That wasn't Bay. Even though it is Transformers.
People started calling Beyonce just Bay. I've noticed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Cut out all the syllables.
Bay. B-E-Y. Bay.
When I grow up, I want to be like Bay, baby.
Bye, baby.
Hey, baby. Just like someone like walking, go, hey, baby, I'm home.
Well, is that your Jay-Z impression?
Or when you're leaving, you say, bye, baby.
Bye, baby. Baby.
Okay.
Baby. That is dumb.
Yep.
She's not Bay. She's Beyonce. She's got a name for herself. She doesn't need another one.
Sasha Fierce.
Mrs. Carter.
Mrs. Carter, that's her new name.
Mrs. Z.
The Mrs. Carter World Tour.
I saw that. I think I saw this, although maybe I'm just imagining it.
In my brain.
This seems completely stupid, but I'm pretty... No, yeah, this was real. But I I saw a thing post about how like Snoop Dogg's coming out with a video game.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I did
But
see
it's
that.
called
You mean Snoop Lion?
No, it's Snoop Dogg on the game, and I'm like, wait, what?
But the graphic showed him in a Rasta hat like Snoop Lion.
Yeah, so it's like, did he just forget or something?
or do people not know that he's called Snoop Lion now?
I don't know if Snoop Lion's just not just a name he uses to release reggae under.
Well, yeah,
he's
but
really
I mean-
Snoop Dogg still. Because Snoop Dogg is a contraction of Snoop Doggy Dogg, isn't it?
Yeah.
His original name.
Snoop Doggy Dog.
Yeah, Puff Daddy
Puff
originally.
Daddy, P. Diddy to Puffy at one point. Artist formerly known as Prince, who's now known as Prince again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was the thing. He had a name. It was just unpronounceable because it was a symbol.
Yep.
Yeah,
So you can write it down.
Yeah, well, you could try and write it down. It's kind of difficult. It wasn't that simple a symbol.
No, it
It wasn't
wasn't.
like a line.
It was quite hard.
a line at a certain slant, not to be confused with slash, which is also a name of an artist, but not represented with a slash.
It was like,
That's the modern digital version of slash. It's just slash. Oh, but then it might get confused for backslash or forward slash or something. It's like, I'm forward slash.
I wonder if Slash has a website.
What, //.com?
Slash.
That would be really hard to work. It wouldn't work.
Well, there was all those are classics, like any of those stupid web addresses that just look dumb because they're contracted.
What would it be?
Bitly and stuff. Or what was the Delicious? Or it was always
Yeah.
really weird.
.us.
Oh, yeah. I've forgotten about that.
That was dumb.
It was a casual fad for a while.
Yeah.
Buy some retarded domains that don't technically belong to some weird country just because it has a convenient letter on it.
My favourite one was the Nathan Barley one. Do you remember Nathan Barley? It was like a Channel 4 comedy. It was actually written by Charlie Brooker, but it was way before he was known for anything.
Right.
It was Charlie Brooker and the guy from the Mighty Boosh, the Howard Moon guy. What's his name? Not Noel.
I don't know
Fielding,
his real name.
the other guy.
Don't know his real name.
The really talented musician guy. Anyway, he had the character had a website called /bat.cock, and it was .co.ck, which was the Cook Islands.
Yeah.
So he managed to actually register /bat.cock. It was well weapon. It was like preceded it saw the whole hipster Shoreditch thing coming by like 10 years. It was a really amazing show. Julian Barrett, that's his name, isn't it?
Hey guys, Sonic News.
Sonic News.
Yeah. Apparently there's a new iOS
An
game.
Infinite Runner. I saw this.
Yeah. Called Sonic Dash.
Yeah. Well, they already did Sonic Jump, so I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. It's they're trying to get into as many iOS genres as possible. What's going to be next? What other things are popular
I don't know if they're like trying to get into as many iOS games as possible. It was like Sonic Jump was made because they'd already made that game before.
Well, that's true.
A long time ago.
And weirdly predates Doodle Jump.
Yeah. And then a runner game makes perfect sense. I don't think they're trying that hard, is
Okay,
what I'm saying.
what
I think
else-
they're just
I was about to say, what else is big on iOS that they could get into?
Angry Birds.
Yeah.
It's just going to be Sonic fired out of a cannon into, like, Casino Nights bumpers. There you go. Done.
Yeah, perhaps.
End of game.
Pitch. Would you fire chowls at things just to shut them up?
No, you fire Sonic
Just fire,
at the channels.
fire armor chat.
Oh yeah, a big pile of armor channels. That'd be good.
They all,
That'd be the bonus stage.
They all-
Fuck up these armor channels.
and they all wind up and start reading your instructions at the same time. It's like, oh god, make it stop! Speaking of which, none of us have played despite our enthusiasm, none of us have played Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed yet.
That's true.
Despite our enthusiasm,
Well,
said Rob, the one person who cares.
I don't know. I said I was interested in it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it looks like it doesn't suck.
As a kart racer.
Mm.
But I don't know. Probably have to play it multiplayer on a console, wouldn't you, I suppose? For fun times, like Mario Kart style
I
fun
guess.
times.
I bet it runs worse then.
Yeah, probably does.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
so it's like 30 frames, isn't it, on console?
No, I meant split screen probably makes it worse.
that's true.
Not many games support 4-player split.
No.
Not even kart races.
I wonder if you could get it to do 4-player split on PC if you had the beef. Not that you'd want to.
The last game I knew of that did split screen multiplayer was the Serious Sam remake.
Oh yeah,
They supported 4-player split screen on it.
yeah. It's totally gone out of
It's dead,
fashion,
isn't it? Yeah. Even 2-player split screen is mostly dead. Well, you get, there's still. I'm glad it's not, because co-op modes in video games might be pretty tricky to access if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like Zach and I's Halo runs.
Yeah.
Of which we still need to do Spartan Ops, by the way.
Yeah.
What game's
Although-
that?
Halo 4, there's
Four.
the Spartan Ops stuff.
Okay.
Did
you run through Halo 4 together?
Yeah, we've played
didn't
that,
know that.
in Heroic.
Cool. What did you think of that then, Zeg?
I'm sure we talked about it before, surely.
I think we
I don't
did.
remember that. Okay.
We didn't. I don't think we went too detailed on it because of spoilers.
Well, yeah, there's
Oh,
that.
that was right, yeah. Okay.
So you still need to play that, and then we can rip
I don't know,
it apart.
I don't really fancy
Or is
playing
that
Halo 4.
a spoiler in itself?
What, that it's bad?
It's not. The game's not bad. The story's pretty shonky. Yeah, Halo.
Right.
Oh, speaking of Halo, we should move on to what we've been playing, I guess.
Yeah.
If we're-
Okay.
Probably should. We're like halfway through the
with the exception of the SimCity stuff. I went back by invitation from Kippers to playing some Halo 4 multiplayer. And it's like, yeah, holy shit. The contrast was, after playing COD for ages and then moving into Halo 4, it's like, holy crap, Halo 4's good. Like, the multiplayer is great in comparison. It's like, why was I wasting my time on blocks for so long? Just play Halo.
Right.
It's so much more fun, and it doesn't. When you die, it often feels like you lost.
Because you scored less points.
They're not- but you don't feel hard done by hit detection or anything like that. It's probably because of the slower pace. It just feels like everything's more believable. You don't ever feel like that what you were seeing wasn't actually what happened. So it's all pretty closely tied, and it's quality. It's a quality experience.
Mm.
So there. I did notice that they've been releasing. They finished off the Spartan Ops season as well,
Right.
which is a free download if you want to get the remaining episodes. But it is another 2 gigs you have to install to your hard disk, which I don't have.
I thought it was meant to be isn't it all meant to be based in the same levels? Where's all this extra data coming from?
Or maybe they're not. Maybe it's all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's true. I think it's all specially designed missions.
Maybe.
So yeah, there's an extra 2 gig of content you can get for free if you want on top of your 4 gig, war games installation. It's like, God damn it.
You're still only complaining about that because you still have a shitty Xbox hard disk, and you always have had.
Yeah, right, I do. I have a first gen hard drive.
It's the only reason that matters.
But that still means that people that bought the Xbox with the 4 gig flash memory
Yeah.
can't actually
Do anything.
do everything. They can't.
Well, all
they
that
can't
proves
buy-
is that those people should have read up on the actual operation of the system.
Yeah, but I can imagine it's been bought by mums for kids.
Well,
That's
but that's what happens in life. Parents buy children's things that they think is the right thing, and it's not.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
At least I think we can sort of safely predict that hard drives will be a standardized feature of the next one.
Well, we don't need to predict that for the PS4, so I guess that.
Oh, they didn't say how big it was.
Well, they said
No, they
it
didn't.
said it was in there though.
Yeah.
And they said it was a hard drive, which suggests that it's not a
Flash memory, yeah.
or a
SSD.
yeah.
I'm sure it would be a hard drive.
Yeah.
They need it to be. It needs to be.
We need
what did you
space.
say? A
If it's a-
terabyte?
Yeah, a terabyte would be
2
great.
terabyte, maybe.
It's, I don't think they will, but a terabyte would be great because that gives you enough space to download quite a few games onto it at once.
And of course, they need all that space for video recording.
Well,
I think they know
I
that.
don't know if we.
Why are we talking about this again?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have space, you don't spend that money. So obviously they want you to have space.
Yeah, I guess. But then they've already spent money. That's the trouble.
Yeah, but the PS4 is clearly going to be super expensive. Just putting that extra RAM in is going to make it.
I was trying to explain that argument to Kippers, I think it was, and he was having none of it. It's like GDDR5 can't be that expensive. It's like
It isn't.
I'm trying to work out what the figure is. Like several, like £100 on its own to add a gig to a graphics card, or by the time it reaches consumers. So whether that's actually true in terms of the hardware costs when you build the thing, that's hard to know. But like £100 to the consumer at least equates to probably 50 quid to the hardware manufacturer. So 8 gigs of that. What, you're talking £400 worth of RAM?
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's going to be expensive. It won't be ridiculous, but it'll probably be less at launch than the PS3 because that was a bit dumb. But
I don't think they can pull that off.
It might be the same. It might
Yeah.
be $599.
I think the same is the best they can do. That's fine.
Yeah, maybe.
Annoyingly, that if it wasn't for any other stat, the DDR stat makes me think it's going to be the same price point. Because I think maybe from the business side, they'll think, well, yeah, $599 sounded funny at the time.
Yeah.
But
people bought them since.
But yeah, it sort of worked out.
It did work,
So,
yeah.
Why don't we do that again?
I think that's their plan. It's very long term, putting that extra RAM in and having a higher price point at launch.
Wow, yeah. 10-year plan.
Yep.
Which might actually last 10 years this time.
Well, the thing with Sony is they need it to work immediately because they're really on the ropes as a whole company. They just sold, they sold their skyscraper in Manhattan. They just sold their one in Tokyo as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So where are they based now?
Well, presumably they've got a lot of offices in Japan, but
Slough.
their main one. Yeah, Slough Trading Estate, yeah.
Guildford. This is made in Guildford.
Everything's made in
The
Guildford.
gem of Surrey.
Actually, there's a small planet in the vicinity of Beetlejuice,
Yep.
and not Guildford, as they previously claimed. Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's going to be tricky, isn't it? Because they, as you say, Sony as a company on the whole are slightly dodgy position now, but the only way to come out the gates competitive with a console is to be a loss leader by by quite a margin, a significant margin, just to get market share.
I think it's reasonable.
I'm guessing the division probably has like this buffer zone put behind it, to expect that. And then, because you have to play the long-term game with consoles now. You can't go in expecting day one profits.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll probably work out for them. It seems
unless you're
fairly
Nintendo.
sensible. Yeah, unless you're Nintendo. Yeah, you can get away with putting old technology.
5-year-old hardware.
Yeah, 5-year-old hardware in your thing.
Still...
Anyway, it's not like I'm going to buy on launch. The only reason you wait to buy until there's an amazing game.
This is true.
That. And if it happens to be on launch like the Xbox, then yeah, you buy on launch. But generally that doesn't happen.
I'm probably still going to get one of them on launch.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably going to get the Xbox on launch, aren't you?
Well, we still don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
There is the possibility. Let's not forget that it could be shit, and it could have been poisoned by Microsoft's other visions.
Oh, the Windows 8 sort of vision of...
Well, it could work, is
Yeah.
the thing, but it could go very, very not good.
But you won't know that at launch. That's the trouble. A lot of that stuff you won't even really see until you actually start using it, like the Dash.
Yeah, this is true.
They're not really going to show that at E3.
Well, this is true, but
they're going to show it a couple of times.
But they may, and they've been doing this for a while now, and they may sort of come across, their trade show may be somewhat the wrong direction, as in it might not be games. They've done this for a while where they've put a large focus on their media capabilities. And it's like, yeah.
We shall see.
I currently do not care about their media capabilities. It's like, I want a games machine.
Not that long till E3. Right, 2 months.
About that.
Sweet. We shall find out. So yes, you were playing? You were saying you were playing?
Yeah, I played a lot of Halo 4. Well, I say a lot, a couple of nights worth of Halo 4 multiplayer. Fairly long sessions. It's great. Got a bit of a crew together at one point with my cousin and one of Kipper's random American friends as well. So that worked out pretty good. It was good fun. Always better as a team.
And also you actually have Xbox headsets now, apparently.
Yeah, I have actual Xbox headsets after my original Xbox headsets are now all torn to shreds. And just broken and don't work and that kind of stuff. So eBay. I got those months ago. eBayed a couple of actual Xbox 360 headsets. And it's like, why did I wait so long to get one of these? They're so much better.
Because as usual, you don't want to spend money.
No. It was really dumb. I shouldn't have tried to put up with those old headsets by sellotaping.
Yeah, I think once sellotape's involved, that's probably a cue.
It never worked.
Didn't you have a crazy ass wireless one at one point?
Yeah, I did.
That didn't work after a while.
I got that for free after one of my Red Ring debacles, and that stopped working after a month,
right?
And just never charged again. They were terrible, but I mean they weren't terrible. They were quite a nicely made piece of kit, but they're fairly, not many of them survive.
Yeah.
Another bit of Microsoft terrible hardware. Bleh. So, yeah, what else have we been playing? Started playing Mark of the Ninja.
Oh, yeah.
Mark of the Ninja.
Oh, yeah, because I got that for you for Christmas.
You did, yes.
Or something.
It was very kind. Yeah, it's alright.
It's alright?
It's got to be said, it's alright. Yeah, it plays... it's got a few flaws, naturally, but generally, as far as a stealth game goes, and I'm not a fan of stealth games in general, I can play this one.
Yeah.
And not just tear my hair out and want to never touch it again. It can be incredibly frustrating.
It can be
times.
annoying, yeah.
There's a couple of sections of the level design, for instance, that I think are kind of terrible, that it throws in early on. I don't know how far you've played, but did you play the bit where there's a shaft at the end of the second level?
Yeah.
That after the alarms go off, and you have to you jump down past this one laser, and then there's a grapple point you have to hook onto, and if you don't get it just right, you immediately die.
Right.
And this one platform's right in the middle. It's so the first time you do it, you're like, well, how the fuck was I supposed to know that was there?
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Oh, and then the grapple works, and then blah blah blah. But then after you get through that bit, there's this just massive open area with no cover and lights and dogs and guards everywhere, and it's like, well, how the fuck do I get down there? And it's you just have to get incredibly lucky almost because you can't see very far. So you jump down, you find a gap, and you manage to just get behind everyone's field of vision, and then of course there's a dude off screen that then spots you. And it's you just had... I didn't like that bit at all. And there's a few moments like that where it's just I couldn't have predicted that was going to happen.
Yeah, you can't survey ahead sometimes. You quite see what you need.
You can't quite see far enough. Or...
These dogs are annoying.
It's so one of your key strategies earlier on in the game is to smash lights to act as distraction. Mm-hmm. And which is pretty effective. But there are some sections where you do that towards the end of the sort of the city levels, I suppose, where you can cause a distraction by hitting a light far away in places while you're in hiding. But of course, the distraction indicator of a guard may have happened on the other side of a door, could happen off screen.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you do your moves, you get over there, and then a guy walks through the door, and you're like, oh, for the love of no! And that's random because sometimes that guy might not be in that exact same spot.
Yeah, because he could be on
do the same move
path
again, and it's like, well, this has worked this time. What did I do differently?
But you can't see.
You can't see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so good.
But in its credit, that is probably one of the few places that the visual design actually lets it down. Because in general, the visual design is pretty incredible.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. The way you can see sound is nice. So you can gauge everything that's going to happen with the sound, get nice indications on the state of everything. So this guard is terrorized, which gives you more hope of just standing right in front of him before the alarm gets raised because he'll just react first.
Freak out, yeah.
Things like that. The game is really good at that, and highlighting where you can go, grills and things will glimmer.
Yeah,
and sometimes like that. Again, sometimes because the graphic design is such that the level parts are almost always black.
Yeah,
and the space in which you can then act is lit.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works against it, especially in ceiling areas, because sometimes the darkness of the area means you can't really see
where you're traversing.
Where the walls are that you can traverse, or whether the surface you're attached to is actually, or or something you can transition to is the word. If you're hanging from something, you might not be able to see the rings sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be solved by a gamma tweak maybe I need to play with that. Because I already turned it up quite high because the game said, your game is set quite low.
Right.
And it's like, really? I just left it at the default. All right, I'll push it up then. And it said, okay, this will probably do.
Okay.
And it's like, and it had one of those classic tests. It's like, you should be barely able to see the ninja in the background. It's like, by the time I pushed it up, it's really quite visible.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I still haven't pushed it enough because there's still some spots where it's tricky. And it's there are certain you get used to because the freedom of movement is quite strong. You can do a lot.
Yeah. And
like traverse between bits of wall quite easily, like turn corners and things like that. And it's all it does none of that automatically, which is nice because you kind of have to always push A to tell it to do something, so you can be deliberate about your actions, which I like. It's kind of the opposite of the Assassin's Creed way of traversal. It's like you have to tell it everything in this, which I like.
It's very opt-in on everything that you do.
Yeah, and it works. It does mean your fingers can get kind of busy when you're doing trying to pull off a rapid maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's part of the skill. It feels like you've done that yourself, which is nice. But again, the only times that you get. That's the problem with a game that gives you so much freedom, is that when you can't do something, sometimes that's jarring. It's like there's one scenario that I found kind of tricky in that I needed to drop through a bit of floor, but then if you do that, you can't immediately attach onto like the side walls underneath. There's no way to sort of like drop underneath a platform and attach to the wall that was there, like you could say if you were just going off a ledge. Grab the edge. It's there doesn't seem to be a way to do that, which caused me a bit of problem because you jump off and then fall into another guard. Oh no, why can't I do that?
To just grab that.
Yeah, and there seems to be some sort of knobbly bits of wall on occasion that you can't grab to, and you're just like, why couldn't I grab to that? It's like it looked like a wall, and I can grab to pretty much any wall. It's like there's a couple of moments like that, and they do sort of throw you out a little bit because it's like, well, I don't feel like that was my fault. It just felt like the game couldn't do what I was expecting of it. And it's but yeah, generally it's okay. I have to play it in short bursts. I think if I play it for more than like 2 missions, then I get a bit fatigued.
Me too. Yeah, it's quite
it's
quite bite-sized, but it's a bit stressful. I don't know.
It's because it's quite repetitive.
Yeah,
it's the same. You're doing the same actions quite a lot.
Yeah, it's like you've done one room, and it's like another one.
Yeah,
with the same kind of setup.
It's almost like a puzzle game in that respect. Yeah. It's like there's only so much of it you can really do before my intrigue starts to wane.
Yeah,
it's like, and then I come back to it, and then I zone into it again for a couple of missions. And I couldn't sit through it in one go, and I'm not sure how much I would really want to replay it. I think once I go through it, like to get all the seals or to go achievement hunting, or. But yeah, it's generally pretty nice, and. As much as I kind of like their art style, they probably need to storyboard their cutscenes a bit better. They feel too fast.
Right.
Like it's like sudden cut to black and loading screen. Like there's no pauses, there's no pacing to how they do their storytelling. Which is a shame. And some of the guard voice work is pretty terrible as well.
Yeah,
and that may be intentional to be honest. What was that noise over there?
Yeah, that's slightly
which is kind of useful because it tells you what they're thinking. But it's like the way, even the delivery of it just sounds kind of forced.
Corny,
yeah. I thought I saw something. I must be seeing things.
That is kind of a
reaction. The dog is sniffing someone out. It's like I can tell because he's going.
Really obviously.
Yeah.
Utanda delight.
And there was one section I had a problem with as well, where... Because I'm trying to do undetected runs. Or not... Yeah, undetected runs, not necessarily no-kill runs.
Yeah. I prefer that.
Because there are times
no-kill runs are impossible.
No-kill is hard.
It's really hard.
I attempted it on one mission. It's really hard.
Yeah, I go for undetected, yeah.
And there was one... level where I couldn't quite get that because there's a section. How far have you played? It's not really a spoiler, I guess, in this game, but it's like there's a section where you have to wait for a door to open.
Yeah,
and
I think I've done that.
During that door time, a whole heap ton of guards appear, and you have to hide out for like 90 seconds.
Yeah,
and it's like you can just pretty much stay in one spot for that entire time, except like with about 30 seconds to go. and I couldn't work out how to stop this. A random alarm raised indicator comes up, and it's like, why?
What did I do?
What have I done? And
Okay.
I couldn't, no matter what, I tried a number of different tactics to do this section to try and avoid that from happening. And it just seems to happen.
Right, just by, yeah.
Yeah, just like with like 20 seconds to go, it just goes, alarm raised. And like, because the guards and stuff seem to get hella confused at that point. Like the dogs start barking at random shit. They keep thinking they're seeing things and you're nowhere near them, that kind of thing. And it's like, and then perhaps one of them panics and goes, "Oh, holy crap! Raise the alarm for some reason." And I hadn't killed anyone in the area. I hadn't like given them any bodies to look at.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, that was where like I've done a silent video test recording of that bit, and which I may post up just without a commentary or something.
Yeah, just to ask people, how the hell are you supposed to do this without getting detected?
Well, yeah, I might post up that whole mission just as a sort of a flavour thing. Don't know. It's a bit weird about a commentary, I guess. Maybe Zach and I should do a commentary later or something. Or, to try and time it better than our Kerbal Space Program video. But
Indeed.
Yeah, so it's all right. I'm going to make. Yeah, I'll probably progress through that one slower. I think I'm going through it slower than you have by the looks of it. Then, if you've done that bit and you've only got like 4 hours game time or something, and I'm like 5 or 6 now. But,
right.
So I'm taking it slower, I guess. But maybe that's probably because I suck at stealth games.
But possibly. I don't know how fast I was trying to get through it. I should play a bit more of it. Make sure. I do remember waiting for a door, but maybe.
So yeah, I think I'm about halfway through.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all right. The game I've played the most probably is Soul Calibur V.
Oh yeah.
Which I was.
Is that a new game?
Well, it was middle of last year.
Right.
It's the latest in the Soul Calibur series. And it's really good. It's got to be said. It's really good. It's like the fight. All right. Highs and lows, let's put it this way. Again, another game of highs and lows.
Because Soul Calibur 2 was the classic.
Soul Calibur 2 is for me the
Gold
benchmark
standard.
of fighting games. It's like I haven't played anything better or anything more fun or anything as varied in terms of what the game gave you to do as Soul Calibur 2. It's a fantastic game. Soul Calibur 5 is not that. So it's not quite as fun as that. And they've taken I think that what they've done with Soul Calibur 5 is they've tried to go in the direction to make it like how the current popular fighters, the same direction as things like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and stuff have taken. But without destroying what is Soul Calibur.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what I mean. So it's the move lists are like simplified. There aren't as many moves per character, for instance, as there were before. There's not so many ridiculous combo strings to pull off. That do bespoke animations and that kind of thing. It's like it's all about stringing together and timing when you do the moves that you're given, which is like the Street Fighter model, I guess. Except Street Fighter is like the minimal moveset, really, which is pretty good. I quite like that. Less to learn, and it's more forgiving with the timing if you want to pull them off than things like Street Fighter. It has one move that's kind of annoying because they do the double they do the double quarter circle thing followed by 3 buttons to pull off your supers, which I think are new to the series. You now have supers, which they call critical edges, which are a direct rip from like Mortal Kombat or the supers or the Street Fighter type thingies. But the way you activate it is like basically like Street Fighter. It's annoying because I don't really like those quarter circle movements or double quarter circles. They're kind of awkward unless you have a stick. So but most of the move timings are loose enough that they're fine. You can toy with them, figure it out, which makes it more fun to train. Because you can do most of the stuff, and then your training is about trying to work out how best to time these, how best to link them together, and things like that. Because you can pull them off, so it encourages experimentation in my eyes, which is nice. For those that aren't the hardest of the hardcore, it's like so I like that.
Cool.
So on that front, I think the fighting engine is quite nice. There are a couple of characters so I've started playing with my mainstay from Soul Calibur 4, Tira, as my main character. And there's a couple of moves that she used to have that I kind of miss, because there were some great ones. She's the one with the ring blade.
Oh, yeah.
Who had the like gloomy and jolly states, and one of her moves that I used to abuse in Soul Calibur 4, to be honest, was you could throw the ring and it would carry them up into the air in a ridiculous multi-hit combo, and then the ring would come back to you, and it would it's quite a nice sort of throw-like move that you could activate, but that's gone, annoyingly. Most of them, a lot of the useful stuff is still there, but the one I used to rely on is gone. It's like, no!
Probably for balance, right?
Yeah, probably. It was a bit powerful. It does feel... The fighting does feel balanced. There are some characters still, and this may be a problem with Soul Calibur's AI that hasn't really changed, in that certain AI characters feel a lot more powerful than others. But not to the extent of the Star Wars douche from Soul Calibur 4.
That was ridiculous.
Whatever his name was. I can't remember. The Apprentice, was it?
Oh,
or something
yeah.
like that?
Star Killer.
Yeah, that asshole. He ruined Soul Calibur 4. Like, if he just wasn't there, that game would have been better. Even with fucking Yoda and Darth Vader, that game would have been better than the fucking... The Apprentice was just mean when the AI got hold of him. Nothing you could do about it. And there's a couple of characters like that in this that are just relentless when the AI gets hold of them. But not to that extent. You can overcome them on occasion. The AI can be somewhat varied, to be honest. Sometimes they will play a really dopey round and like not block or do anything pretty much, and other times it will just have a relentless string of attacks that's incredibly hard to
break.
Yeah. And or they'll vary it as well, so you can't just plan a stylish block or counter while they're thrashing it out. They'll just keep coming at you, and it's like, I haven't changed the difficulty level, and it will change between fights, like between rounds of the same battle, and you're like, really? You've changed your tactic? Okay, that's kind of odd. You whitewash one and then get murdered the next, so it's a bit funky like that. But
right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not as bad as it had in previous builds or previous editions, should I say? It looks pretty. Character creation is still nuts. But this leads on characterization is fun. You can create some really mental stuff, and it has a whole mode almost dedicated to the stuff you can do in creation. Like, there's a quick battle mode you can have once you've got bored of like arcade and the, let's be honest, god awful story mode.
Rubbish.
It's awful. It's really awful. It's like, Mortal Kombat showed us how to do it right. This is not how you do it right. It focuses on like one main character for the entire story, and it's just not very fun. And the story is awful, as you would expect. And bleh.
Yeah,
just bleh. I'm kind of glad it's there because it gives you a focus when you first start playing it.
Yeah, to learn the characters.
And it's not very long either, but you can do a better job of that. Engage me somehow. It's like all the cutscenes are done by like a storyboard, but like line art, pretty much. They just couldn't be bothered to make into proper graphics or a proper cutscene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's way off from the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap. It's a cheap edition. So this quick battle mode where they've basically lined up like several hundred character designs that they've made in the creator, and it's like you can just so you can. I guess that's where the bulk of the single player is. You just work your way through these, and they're ranked like they would be on online play. So you kind of know how difficult the fight is going to be before you get into it, because it's given them the same ranking system as online, and it's like an intro to live play, which is pretty cool. And there's hundreds of them, and the first guy I fought was the one that seems to show up in a lot of the early screenshots with his multicoloured furry trousers and a pink afro and an Astaroth hammer that's got a fist on the end instead of an axe. It's
nice.
It looked really cool. That's pretty funny. So there's a ton of those, and this is again one of the things I don't understand. This addition by subtraction thing that fighting games seem to be going through. It's like, what I've just said there is pretty much all you get. Yeah. That is the game in its entirety, with the exception of the live play, which I haven't really got into yet. But, yeah, there you go. It's like, hang on, this doesn't sound like Soul Calibur anymore. Where's my challenge tree that we had? Put you into weird scenarios, force you to be a certain character, beat this under certain conditions. Where's that gone? Where's the weapon master stuff where weapons have different effects and you can tailor how your character plays, perhaps by combining your different armor sets and different statistics of different things to do, where's that gone? It's like, presumably that there was some balance issues there, because there always are when games attempt that, like Street Fighter Cross Tekken apparently has some balance issues with their gem system and things like that. And I guess there was always going to be problems with a system like that. But it's like, where is it? At least put it in for some single player stuff, if not competitive stuff. It's like, where's all this stuff that you've done before and done it well? It's a bit of a shame. Because it makes Soul Calibur 5 feel cheaper than previous efforts by the same cocking company. I want to see fighting games take the lead a bit more, rather than all say, we can get away with the bare minimum, because like Mortal Kombat did that, at least by throwing in its shitty minigames and a relatively entertaining story mode, and an epic challenge tree. The challenge tree was great in that.
Well, they're just missing it from Soul Calibur 5.
Yeah, it's as simple as Street Fighter. In Marvel vs. Capcom, they aren't feature rich, and it's why do that? It's give us more for people that aren't hardcore and want to do nothing but competition. It's like, I don't want to do competition. I want to have a good time, and Soul Calibur is a better framework to me for having a good time, because it's more fun. I like it. I have
more fun playing it.
Yeah, I have much more fun playing Soul Calibur than I do any of the Capcom stuff, with the possible exception of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when Zach and I actually get around to playing it more.
Yeah, but that's because we're not trying.
No, we're trying to forget how to play it, because it's funnier when you don't really know what the shit's going on. So Soul Calibur 5, it is good, and it's better than 4, and I never played 3, so I'm assuming it's better than that. But it just needed more content. Like, all fighting games need more content. So, nah. Yeah, I'd recommend it if you can get it on the cheap.
Okay, you going to play any of that, Zach? Soul Calibur 5?
You like if I was going to play fighting games, we'd play Marvel vs. Capcom or Smash Bros. Pretty much. The two options.
Well,
so you like Soul Calibur 2?
Yeah, we used to have a good time doing stupid Talim fights.
I get the feeling
who's missing from this, by the way. There's no Talim-like character anymore.
Yeah, sort of. But I don't think the Soul Calibur 5 is more suited to that.
You can have some funny moments.
You just go back to Soul Calibur 2 if you want to do that, really.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Link as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be honest.
Throw some goddamn bombs.
That was always freaking amazing.
Or constantly switch weapons, alternatively.
Yeah.
The classic problem.
It's like the movesets in those early Soul Caliburs are so big, though. Like... And again, that's probably why those games sort of like... early polygonal fighters kind of suffer a little bit as a competitive game, as their movesets are so big that it's very tricky to learn tactics for like blocking and countering stuff, because it's hard to judge what's actually coming at you. Which they've solved here, but that was part of the fun of like playing it as a novice, as a somewhat amateur, because you do stuff and something unexpected would happen, and you're like, "How did I do that? What was that?" And I got a sense of that there is some of that stuff still in Soul Calibur 5. There are still some combinations that you can pull off that aren't listed, because I've done it a couple of times. You're just like, really? That works? Okay, fantastic. There's a move there that's not 100% listed. I've discovered something. Woo. Yeah. So there's some of that. And you can have some stupid moments like the old classic guard offs can still occur, which is kind of funny. Like where like the characters just all like changing pose in a guard position, waiting for someone to move, which always looks great. Although the guard impact stuff has been lessened, which used to be like if you timed your guard perfectly on Soul Calibur 2, you could cause this guard impact state, which is basically like a parry. You would push the opponent away, temporarily giving you an opening to come back in, and they've reduced the effectiveness of that. Like you can just guard now that sort of does that, but the window is tiny. and they have some moves now have this guard impact property that makes your weapon glow green for a bit to indicate that it's doing it, and then if something attaches during that time, then you'll get the old style parry in.
I'm sure I read something near when Soul Calibur 5 came out that they might have changed it by now, of course, but I think the Just Guard thing was supposedly meant to be super overpowered in some way, but I can't remember. It was like there was some kind of way you could abuse that to make it ludicrously powerful compared to actual guard impacts. For some reason.
Yeah, I guess if you got good at it, you could like stop any flow, probably, if you were lucky. It's like kind of like the counter system in Dead or Alive was a bit like that. You know, after every hit, you had the chance to potentially, perhaps not go into guard state, but you could attempt to counter with one of its I don't know what you called them, like counter throws, I suppose. But that was always Dead or Alive's thing. It was that. Counter everything. Soul Calibur 5.
Cool.
I've been sinking a lot of time into that. It's kind of annoying in a way that I started playing that, because I also now have Devil May Cry. And it's like, I'm playing one fighting game, and Devil May Cry is essentially a different fighting game. So it's like, as much as I want to play that, I'm going to get burnt out on fighting if I do both.
So have you bought Devil May Cry? We got it.
I was given a copy.
Oh, sweet. For
PC, yes.
Oh, sweet. Nice. How's it run?
I haven't tried it. I've got it installed, but I haven't fired it up.
Exciting. Okay, so that's for next
I'm
time.
Properly looking forward to that.
Most certainly.
Yeah, so I ground out a bit more XCOM as well. Still grinding.
How have you not finished it?
I'm still grinding another team with high willpower up.
Oh, yeah.
So I played a couple more hours of that. I think Zach and I did some more Guild Wars. Nothing to say about that. It's Guild Wars.
No, they still haven't actually got to that event that they're ramping up to. Marches is just another step in the run up to it. So maybe April.
So then, Zach, have you been modelling any urban conurbations lately? Or?
Tell us about SimCity.
No, let's not. Let's talk about the other thing.
Okay.
Aww. This episode's one big suspense train now, isn't it? For like, you want
to get everything else out of the way first.
This week, SimCity coming up, SimCity. No, wait.
I don't think we've trialed it.
It's like, Dad, have you played anything? Let's waste some more time.
No, not unnecessary. Go ahead.
No. I played Gratuitous Space Battles.
Oh yeah, what's that like?
What's it called? Gratuitous
Space
Battles.
Space Battles.
Okay.
Get some space.
Gratuitous Space
GSB,
Battles.
yo.
Yeah. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's basically like you make a fleet of ships, and they have like
2D.
Yeah, it's 2D top down. They have a schematical layout, and you drag like, here's all the slots you can have guns, and then you can have your other things to attach to your ship. So you make the custom fleet. Basically, the idea of the game is the enemy fleets are set, and you have to invent the way to counter them by designing your own ships.
That's cool.
And you don't actually do any of the fighting. You just position them, and then they just go, and then you see who wins.
Okay, that sounds cool.
It's okay, but it's a bit... The fact that you have no control is like too little control.
Right. Okay.
It's like, I wish I could have just a tiny amount of control, because the main problem is that there is some, but there's not enough like logic that you can implement towards like targeting.
Okay.
It's just, they just go for whatever's nearest and then keep shooting it until it's dead, unless one of the small bits of logic you can input causes them to do something different.
So you need more control that you can set up beforehand.
Yeah, you need I think you need slightly more. And then the other trouble is that I found myself getting to the point where I was just looking at the layout of the enemy fleet and then working out where the closest point of engagement was, and then just trying to put one ship there that was basically just a giant tank.
Right.
Whereas, like, because it's just going to get targeted by everything, because that's how it works. They just go for whatever's nearest. So you just have to, like, here's the ship that's nothing but shields, just put it right there, and try and get all the enemies to shoot it.
And then you can concentrate on killing them.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like slightly too limited in its systems, I think, to make it that much fun. So I kind of gave up on that after a while. That was about that. I don't think there's much else to say about it.
Okay.
And then I played
SimCity?
BIT.TRIP Runner 2.
Which we've done a video of.
Yeah, which we've done a video of. I finished that also now.
No, what, like 100%?
Well, no. I got through all the levels. But yeah.
You were pretty close to that last week anyway.
Yeah, I was on the last world. And then, it gets difficult. I don't know, it seems easier than the original, but I'm not sure whether that's just because I never really tried. Or whether I've just gotten better at it. Or whether it's just because this is longer that it's had, like, more time for me to get good at it.
To ease into it. But it's got more combinations of moves and stuff.
Yeah.
The last one didn't have, so there's probably more to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
You're probably just better.
Maybe. And that has awesome music.
Well, see, I've always thought it's alright. Like, it's not mind-blowing.
Well, it's better.
It's a bit slightly more varied than the last one, I guess.
Well, yeah. But it's just... It's good when you can hear it. But a lot of the time it's just like the classic problem that we talked about with the original BIT.TRIP, where it's like the ultra version of the music is much better than the extra version of the music. And most of the time you only hear the ultra version for like 10 seconds and then you pick up the extra power and it goes away.
Yeah, and then filters it out into this zen state. And it's like, I want to be funking.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's my beat?
And yeah, that game is weird. I found out what the last character was.
No.
Because you have Commander Video,
Yeah.
and you have Command Girl Video.
Okay.
Which is clearly great. And Wet Fart Cheeseburger, or Cheeseburger, or however you pronounce that.
Cheeseburger.
Wet Fart Cheeseburger. And but that last guy who looks like a sort of a floating alien version of Commander Video. He's Captain Video! Of course! I'm not sure whether that's meant to be future version of Commander Video or past version. What's the rankings?
Commander's higher than Captain.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. But he looks like he's from the future because he's all like slightly smoother curves and looks sort of Tron-y with his like glowing outline and glowing visor. But yeah, Captain Video. Why not?
Nice.
The reverse merman.
Reverse Merman, yes. And Uncle Dill.
Clearly, Wet Fart Cheeseburger is the best.
That's the worst animation.
Yeah.
It's fucking impossible to see what you're doing. So yeah.
But the burger peels when you die.
Yeah, it does. So that was that, I guess. Then I started trying to go through and get not getting all the achievements, because I mean there's obviously an achievement for doing the entire game in the hardest mode and getting everything perfect.
Yeah.
Probably, but there's the achievement for getting triple perfect plus in 3 levels per world. So I was like, I can probably manage that. It means I only have to do 3 of the hardest levels in the hardest mode. It's probably doable. And it's nice that like the way that they've made it so with the fact that there's multiple routes in it now, it's not, you don't, only if you're looking for the perfect you have to get all the gold, and it's basically, it's score attack, and like the retro levels are just hidden objects in the levels, you don't have to get all the gold to access those. And you just, it's a bit more lenient, I think.
Did you ever work out what the point in the retro levels was? Is like how they're scoring actually?
No, I didn't work out any of that scoring in that game. It just seems completely random, like we were saying in the video, where it's like those leaderboards don't seem to have any relevance to anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We were having a discussion on the video that's sort of worth perhaps recapping and getting Dan's take on. Was that when the leaderboard came up in BIT.TRIP Runner, I was kind of reminded of how, do you remember when Xbox Live first started?
Mm.
And games like PGR2 started doing leaderboard integration.
Yeah, a lot of that.
But it was done well.
Right.
Then,
yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking to myself today, it's like, nobody does it well anymore. Really.
Yeah,
it's always done as an afterthought rather than a nice integrated thought. It's like, As I'm playing Burnout, I did play a bit more Burnout Crash as well. I should probably, there's nothing really to add to that discussion though. But I noticed that when you do that and it goes back and it comes back to a speed wall like thing at the end of because it's auto log.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I'm the only person I know that's playing it.
So you're the only.
So I'm the only one on it, and it's like
maybe they did some research and found that most people don't like knowing that after doing something they're the 12,000th best in the world or something.
Well, yeah, I quite like to know how far, not necessarily like what the exact number is, but just in what percentile I was
right,
in.
yeah.
I find that kind of interesting. It's like, oh, okay, I'm playing PGR. Oh, I'm in the top 33%. That makes me feel good. Yeah,
that's cool. If you could compress it down to something like that and then expand it to give you more,
give you the option to go digging if you want to.
Yeah, sure. That's
like have a button to go at the leaderboard in full and say, oh, you're better than so many. Or if you're near the top of the table, give you your exact position. Something like that.
That'd be cool by me.
It's the fact that in Burnout Crash, I can't get to a full leaderboard.
No.
Not from that screen, anyway.
Because it's all social.
Yeah, or even NFS Hot Pursuit. I can't do it there either. It just brings up the speed wall. It's like, this isn't helpful. I'm the only one playing it. It's like, I'm the only person on my list who's got this. It seems such a weird step, or the games that do that, but they do it as a post-process. It's like, surely uploading your time to a leaderboard somewhere must be a fairly quick request to a server somewhere. It's not a difficult thing to do. Pulling back the results of that might be a trickier thing to do. But like when, for instance, when you're playing, okay, these are terrible examples, like the Sonic 4 games, possibly have the worst leaderboard implementation I've ever seen, because it takes ages to upload your score, and then it comes back with results that have been hacked. So it's irrelevant anyway. But then you have to do it, and as you're browsing through the leaderboard, it's recognizing that you've got more times to upload, so it uploads it on every page, and you have to wait for it, and it takes ages. And so I just want to see the leaderboard, just do it. Do it at the end of a level. Upload immediately in the background. Something
poorly implemented that.
Well, yeah, that particular one is. But it's like most games, like they'll drop you back to a menu off the screen, but then you'll have to sit through an upload step or something like that. And it's like, why not do it asynchronously at the side with your main menu still there on the right, something like that. I don't know. I've not seen a good implementation of that since the early days, and I find that baffling.
It is a bit odd that you don't see it.
I miss it to a degree. I don't play as many racing games as I used to, admittedly. But
that is the genre that it kind of lends itself to the most, I suppose. But you could do it with all kinds of stuff.
It's like, I don't know how it's been implemented in the recent Forzas, for instance, where I guess it would be most neat.
Yeah. You should check out that Forza 4. Or even Forza Horizon. I want to play that.
The problem with those games is they make me want, because I played a shit ton of Forza 2 with a wheel, and it was a great time. It's like, if I wanted to play those games, I'd want a wheel, and to set it up, which means like putting my Xbox somewhere where I can attach it to a desk, and which I can do, but it's movement.
It's not ideal.
It's movement. I know.
Yeah,
physics.
No one likes movement.
So Zed, where were you?
Yeah, where was I?
Sorry about that. Yeah, sidetrack. I just thought it was interesting.
I guess that is everything. There was Guild Wars, but yeah, as Rob said, not much happening. The dailies have got easy, so I've been doing those quite often. Daily achievements. It's because they let you choose which ones to do. But they say choose, but it's actually just like whichever 5 out of these 10 you complete first.
Yeah.
So you just run around in the world for a while, and then you're like, oh no, I'm done. Success, points, prizes.
Have you decided if you're going to join us on one of those sorts of games yet, then?
I'd like to. Yeah, I guess Guild Wars 2 would be the one. Unless you're playing Torchlight 2. That might be cheaper.
Well,
that will be cheaper.
It's undoubtedly cheaper, but yeah. But I might, that's on my to-do list now. I have a copy, and I think I'm going to enjoy that more if we tried it co-op rather than me trying to solo it.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Okay, well, we could do both. We could start with Torchlight 2 and then move on to...
Well, there's Borderlands 2 as well. We could wade into a new game of that.
I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll get started on that.
Get Dan into a game! Because he can have something to talk about rather than never having anything to talk about.
Oh.
Just like this.
Yeah, but it helps us.
Yeah, not this time.
Get what we have off our chest.
Yeah, we always talk about it.
And I have a big chest.
So now let's talk about this shit.
So let's do it.
Let's get the rant out.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know.
Begin, because it sounds like you like it, so...
Well, First of all, I guess we need to talk about the thing that everyone's bitching about before we actually get to the game.
Okay.
Which is the fact that the servers broke. But
that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Why is it that every company that tries this fails every single time?
But that's the thing, there's been so many commentators and actually people in the industry sort of like mentioning since this happened again on a game that can't actually probably doesn't actually need that much server load compared to...
That's arguable because of other things, but
yeah,
we'll get to that, I guess.
But how live is it? You know, I mean, how often does it really need to update what your city is doing to the other players?
It doesn't matter how live the game is specifically, because the only thing that matters is that they did betas or events like that,
never get the vote.
And they have pre-order numbers, so it happens every time. Everyone thinks like, well, they have all this data. Why do they not know how much data they're going to need and how many people are going to be connected to the server?
Right, but the betas are always going to be a significant number less.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't. That's not what they're testing in a beta. Surely is more like the rate of data per player rather than,
I guess, yes,
the number of players. The number of players is more from the pre-orders and market projections.
Yeah, so you should know how big a server infrastructure you're going to need to expand to.
You should, but then they never,
even if it's just temporary for launch.
Well, that's the thing that everyone's been saying, well, particularly this time, is that maybe in the past it probably wasn't going to happen because it's just like you just suffer the bad shit on launch day and then it tails off and it evens out and then you're good. But now it's like people have looked at the IP addresses of the SimCity servers, and they're clearly just cloud-based.
Elastic cloud.
Yeah, it's just like you should just be able to boot up more cloud servers really quickly, or have more cloud servers to start with and just turn them off. It's like now it should actually be possible to solve this problem.
So yeah, that you've already preempted where I was going with that. Sure, because I wondered if there was some... developers get stuck in their ways, let's be honest. We have our... some of us have our things about, some technology sticks around longer than it should, like server architectures and things like that. And, having a physical box is still kind of nice sometimes.
Yeah.
As opposed to trusting in an ethereal cloud. But it's like, but in this particular case, the cloud sounds like the most friggin' awesome thing for solving this kind of problem.
Well, at this point, they could have just hybrided it. If they want physical boxes, they could have their main, and then just have extras.
What's wrong with clustering your elastic part, out to the cloud and have some static devices that are always there, as a fallback?
If you want that, But they didn't apparently, and then everybody exploded.
I mean, even from a technical side, it's doable. Your elastic servers are just virtual boxes at the end of the day, aren't they? They are PCs without a PC.
I mean, all that Amazon or Azure or whatever has amazing tech that's right there to do all the load balancing and all the working out how many more machines you need to spin up based on demand. Yeah. It's all built in. I don't know.
And of course, the funniest thing about that story was when they looked up the IP address of the SimCity servers. It's like, it's Amazon Cloud, and Amazon are not selling the game any longer. That was pretty funny.
This was good. It was only out for a couple. They only removed
for a little while,
for like an hour or two.
It was only the digital version.
Yeah, and they put an immediate notice up on the page even when they did start reselling it, saying, currently suffering. There are currently technical issues with this game. You may want to hold off until these are resolved.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I wonder if Amazon sort of inherently knew. It's like, well, if EA are doing this and they're not using our service correctly, this could reflect badly on us. So we're going to try and mitigate the issue by saying, hey, we're having technical problems. Or
maybe.
If you're playing and they're using the Amazon cloud and you're probably playing on, because it's different availability zones, so you're probably playing on machines in Ireland.
Yeah.
So you're probably fine.
Well, they have EU servers. It's actually split up for some bizarre reason that I'm not entirely sure of, even the release date, it was like EU East, release date the 7th, EU West, release date the 8th. It's like, what?
That'll be the Amazon availability zone.
Well, yeah, but then why even have the different release dates?
I don't know. I don't know.
Wouldn't you spin everything up a day in advance? Several days in advance to make sure.
Well, they did basically because all the EU servers were up at the American launch, and then all the Americans were playing on the EU servers because all the Americans ones were broke.
Yeah.
So by the time it got to the EU launch, all the servers were broke.
Right. Nice.
Well, that's kind of funny.
And that was just dumb. It was like, why would you do that?
So what was this thing with the retry counter? Because I saw that the client seems to have this, like, the game was automatically going to let you in about half hour.
EA decided not to make an actual queue system and just made it so it waits half an hour and then retries, and then if it fails, you just wait half an hour again.
Who wants to wait half an hour?
Well, the answer is you don't. You just keep reselecting the server until it works.
It's so dumb.
Fucking idiots. Anyway.
So yeah, that was bad.
Epic fail. As we knew it was going to happen.
Well, could you blame this in part on Maxis? Because Maxis aren't exactly...
Maxis have no idea how to make online games. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And this is the first time they've really done it.
But if Maxis had a choice, they wouldn't have forced people to be online.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, it could be EA in their like social solutions, unless Maxis were the ones pushing the...
There's the EA element of it where it's like DRM or whatever.
Yeah.
But Maxis had their whole thing of like, we want this game to run on as many different computers as possible, so we're going to offload some of the processing into the cloud, so you don't have to have quite such a hardcore machine to do it.
Yeah, right.
Really? Apparently.
That's not happening, is it?
Well, here's what I've tried to see, like what I've suspected from looking at it, is when your connection goes down and you're in the game playing a city, it still totally works. I think where the actual cloud processing, if there is any cloud processing, which there may be going on, where that is happening is the region interactions between cities.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that's offloaded if it is actually offloaded.
So how your city benefits from the region, you mean?
Yeah. So like all the trades and stuff and like commuters going between the cities.
Does that mean like so when you're playing your city, do you mean that in the sense that there's like the trickle changes? Because like the rate of change, presumably, does it offload it to the server so the server tells you when that rate might have changed because of the other player's results?
Well, that's the...
so if you go offline, does that rate still happen? Or do you need the server for like, these trades happen, this trade has happened, this trade, for each step of the trickle? Well,
I think the problem is that with this whole system, which is actually the actual problem with it, not necessarily to do with the server load, is that I don't think it updates very fast, which sucks. Because it's like, I was trying... Well, last night, when the servers were pretty busy but still working by this point, finally, they'd got enough extra servers up that it was starting to even out. Which I guess was still released day for Europe, so good times. But we got in a game... I got in a game with another person, and we were playing along, and you could see stuff where it was like things would pop up and it would clearly be about 5 minutes past when they did it in their city. And it was like, well, maybe the servers are just laggy. And that sort of makes sense. The actual... Because when it was really bad, when it first came out, at the launch, it was still this bad. There was a lot of problems where you couldn't even like enter a city, or if you went out into the region view and tried to move from one city to another in the region, it would just completely fail. So it was obviously having troubles in that. It was like the cities were working. It was like you could play a city as long as you just didn't worry about what was outside the city. So it's like clearly that was the bit that was having the big problems. But then now I played it a little bit earlier on, and virtually all the servers were saying they were fine, and it seemed to log in pretty quick compared to how it had been. So it was like, well, this seems okay. But I tried playing like two cities, and I was seeing if I could do the classic commuter idea, where it's like this one's going to be residential and this one's going to be industrial. But it clearly doesn't. It's not only that it doesn't seem to update very fast. That's not updating very fast is a problem, because if you're talking about commuters, it's just not. It's like the updates aren't fast enough for the simulation. It's like it's past the time when these people should have gone to work, but it hasn't updated the other city to tell you there's jobs, so they all get to be unemployed for a whole other day.
That's annoying. So do you think that will improve when the servers?
Maybe, but I can't really tell yet. And then the other trouble with that is like it wouldn't be so bad, but the other thing is if you're playing by yourself and you want to play multiple cities and you're like, I'm going to make these cities so they complement each other and trade. It also doesn't appear to sync your city when you quit one city and move to the other, which is a really bad problem. Because I was like, I went over to my industrial city and I was like, put power plant down. Obviously, put a really big power plant there. I'm going to send all this power to this other city. Load up the other city. Look across the valley to where the industrial city is. There's just a road. It's like, that's not how I left that.
And no power.
And no power.
So just... Wait, so you can start a game with just you.
Yeah.
So that's supported at least.
Well,
You have to be online, obviously.
But that requires... So they didn't even think to put some kind of offline
No.
state for that, so it can just talk to itself when you want to play on your own.
No. That's the other thing that everyone's bitching about. There's no real single player, really.
That is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, I can sort of see why they would do that, because then you're saving yourself a lot of effort having to write essentially a client version of that system.
Yeah, I guess.
But...
And what if your machine can't handle it? Oh no!
So basically you're saying that in 6 months' time, SimCity might be good.
Well,
Or it might
probably
not be-
that long.
It might not be playable at all.
Well, yeah, all that. Probably not that long. But
Once people stop playing.
well, the trouble with it is that at this point I can't tell whether it's still the servers are laggy, so the region thing will get better, or whether that is literally how they designed it. It's just bad.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll have an update on that point.
Yeah.
So that's ongoing. That could change. Tell us about the game.
Yeah, the game itself.
So
Design-wise, because I have some massive reservations about the direction they've taken.
Well, my first thing was immediately when I saw the quick look was, oh my god, those cities are fucking tiny.
They are diddy, yeah.
they are tiny, but I don't think.
It's like a 2 kilometre space?
Well, just make up some fucking numbers. It doesn't mean anything.
SimCity has a sort of scale, doesn't
Well,
it?
it did when it was square based, but then it was like in 2000, it was like, oh, these buildings are clearly not the size that they are in these squares or whatever. And then by the time you got to 4, it was like, yeah, maybe these are sort of to scale, but
Yeah, but your roads
like
must have...
30 people live in a single house.
Yeah, if you just judge distance of road, maybe the building design is a bit nuts, but the actual distance of a road.
All you need, the only way to compare it is to try and compare it to the previous game and say it's X times bigger. But even then, that's like you're still saying, look at this skyscraper. It's probably about a city block across, so that's probably about however many meters or whatever.
You could judge it by the length of a car, surely.
But can you? Those might even be scaled wrong.
I mean, they're not really cities in the British sense, are they? There's
No.
maybe in the American sense, but it's more like Sim half of Ipswich. Or something. You know what I mean?
Well, they are.
Not even that.
Yeah,
Well, it's like they're designed to be dense, not sprawling.
but why? Sprawling is cool.
Yeah,
Well,
why
sprawling is cruel.
why can't you do that? Because
Well,
it's
like-
like the SimCity 4 with its giant map size.
Well, the thing everyone says about it is the obvious thing, well, that Max has said, is that they had to limit it because of the simulation. Because
Yeah.
they're doing so much simulation.
Fair enough.
They can only, just imagine how many fucking nodes there'd be in a road network in a SimCity 4 map, like a large one. If you were
Yeah.
doing this detailed a simulation, it would just take a lot of work.
Maybe in like a future iteration of it when
Well, they have.
maybe when they can rely on client power a little more.
Well, they've been saying, people have been quoting, like, Ocean Quigley or whatever the fuck, from Maxis talking about it, where he's like, yeah, we'd like to patch in bigger cities in the future and this sort of thing. But
Is that his actual name?
yeah,
Sweet. Ocean Quigley.
Awesome.
but the number of times I've seen people talking about that and they're just saying that they're saying it like it's fact. Whereas, like, they want to patch in bigger cities sometime in the future, and they want to give you mod support.
Yeah,
and it's like,
doesn't mean to do
well,
it.
mod support is just not going to happen because it's an always online game.
It's like Firaxis and the XCOM team, isn't it? It's like they want to continue working on it and keep patching it, but we haven't seen anything for a while.
No. But then again, it took them long enough to get out the first patch, so maybe that's just how fast they work.
We'll see how it goes. But they'll want to sell more stuff.
Well,
so-
that's the other thing why it's like mod support is like, you've got to be crazy. It's just they're going to sell it.
Yeah, you're not going to do that. They want to
Sell
put, they want to put SimCity into the Sims model, isn't it? Like shit tons of
I guess.
DLC, probably.
I guess.
Probably.
But then that
They've already got their stupid visual packs and shit.
Yeah,
British
don't care
mode
about
and
those.
crap. Yeah,
But
that's a
the-
waste of time.
But they might not work anyway because you might need a compatibility pack to get it to other people to see you.
Well, that is one of the things that I read it was just like one post that I saw offhand somewhere, that someone was saying that if someone who's using one of those city pack or has those, and they just naturally appear in the city, but if someone's been using them and then has abandoned their city, you can't claim it unless you have those packs. Which is a bit of the old classic, like, Gears of War maps issue. It's like, you don't have the pack, so you can't access this city. And unfortunately, if it's abandoned, you're fucked, because, this abandoned city is just fucking up some place in your region.
Yeah. Which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Definitely seems like with the size of the cities being restricted to that 2 kilometre square, that inevitably after a while, every city is square.
Well, that is
really
one of the
weird.
big problems.
Well,
There are like
to the
terrain. I mean, especially since you can't do terraforming now.
Yeah, okay.
You have to work to the terrain to some
Again,
extent.
another weird omission, if you ask me. Like, perhaps you could do some crazy stuff in the first one, but at least it was all, the costs of doing that stuff were quite high.
Yeah.
SimCity 4 had the awesome pre-map. Like, that was
if you wanted to, yeah.
That's 10 years ago.
So are they not going to add, like, are the regions at least randomly generated?
No.
Are they not?
No.
They're all handmade.
What? See, this is where it goes wrong. I think they're taking this in such a... It seems like such a backward step.
But anyway...
The only good thing I can say about the terraforming or lack thereof is it's actually really good at automatically editing the landscape.
Okay.
Like if you draw a road up a hill or whatever, it cuts into it or builds a bridge or does whatever, to make it smooth. And it's actually pretty cool where, like, if you put down, or if you put down, or if a building has been built on a slope, it, like, embanks it or whatever to give it a footprint. But then if you delete that, it reverts it to what it was naturally.
Oh, cool.
So it's actually kind of nice to,
that's nice, yeah.
Undo those weird looking things sometimes.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it does, and also that means it doesn't like screw up the landscape if a building builds an embankment and then gets destroyed. Then it's like, well, now you're stuck with this stupid embankment that no one else can build on because it was like that exact shape of that one building.
So I do remember in SimCity 4 some houses being on some hilarious giant
giant cliffs.
Yeah, that was funny.
So yeah, and
so the game itself.
So the game,
once you're in it. And you're not worried about the size of the city.
I wanted to say one other thing about how the region is done, and it seems like the most obvious oversight. But when I tried to make that power city, where I was like, this one's going to have the power station because it's all like polluting and shit. This one's going to be industrial. This one's going to be residential. And then you're going to buy the power. I realised that you can't do neighbour deals, as in buying power and water and stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't do that until you've built a city hall. And how do you unlock city hall? By having power. Oh. So it's like you actually have to build a power station.
You have to build a wind power.
Yeah, so I was like, wind powers are only like 8,000 quid, which is a lot cheaper than all the other ones. So it's like, I actually have to build a shitty wind power in order to unlock the ability to buy power from this other city.
Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty dumb.
You'd think that maybe that would be like a first playthrough restriction to kind of open, and then like once you've done all that and it's taught you the mechanics, you can do them in whatever order you want.
Yeah.
Like, just go nuts now. We've given you the farm.
So yeah, the actual game. What was I going to say? Well, for as much as they go on about the simulation and like how much they're simulating and how detailed it is, every time I look at it, it's just like, it's still dumb. It's still bad. It's like I was watching I built a recycling centre, and like a recycling truck comes out of it. And it's like, it's down at the bottom of this hill, sort of near my industrial zone, and then there's like the main road that goes up into my residential area. And the recycling truck is like, drive up the hill, get to the first junction at the top of the hill, do a U-turn, drive to the bottom of the hill, do a U-turn, drive up the hill, do a U-turn, and did this for like 20 goddamn times. I was like, seriously, is it just broken? And then eventually it was like, oh wait, maybe I should not do a U-turn and go somewhere else. And go to the city.
And go and find the rubbish and collect it and bring it back.
It doesn't...
Someone needs to teach them Half-Life 2 pathfinding.
Well, it seems like a lot of the time... Well, this is the best thing, because I'd actually talked about this before on a previous podcast, because it's exactly the fucking same as that Pharaoh game I was playing.
Yeah.
It's all random walks. They don't have any intelligence of where to go or how to get to the... Like, and it can be really bad in, like, the case of, like, power and water, because it flows along the roads, but it is just random walks. So at every junction, it's just like the little packet of power is going to go one of the random directions it can go out of this junction.
So you've got to hope that you have enough that the randomised...
Yeah, so
rather than evenly doing it...
Yeah, so like even before you've actually run out of power, buildings can start running out of power because the packets just haven't got there this time.
Yeah,
at random.
Yeah. So, and then
they should deliver evenly, surely, because what, in concept, just water and electricity would evenly.
I think we said that the first time we were talking about the agent system.
Why do you even need to model electricity like that?
Electricity travels practically instantly.
Yeah,
You just have a voltage on the bus bar all the way down all the roads. And you
That's
just
what I mean. Why do you need to model that like that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Like, even with water, but perhaps you could have done some neat stuff with elevation and stuff.
Water pressure, yeah.
Yeah, you could have done, but what? Yeah. But even that should disperse easily.
It's just because they basically built it all on the same system.
But it seems like
they built a system for something that didn't need a system.
Yeah, and it's using all this computing power that could have gone towards having nice big cities to do a dumb simulation.
Honest, how much computing power is that actually using? It's just like every junction do a random turn.
Well, it's like tracking all the objects.
If you got, if you've got a million packets of power moving around your city constantly, and they actually what they achieve in terms of simulation is making it unrealistic rather than realistic. Right?
It's really dumb.
But I think the bigger problem...
maybe they wanted to because perhaps if you had areas of big draw near the power station,
industrial buildings do use more, they absorb more packets before they get full.
I guess that's what they were going for, but you could simulate that with a heat map type thing, couldn't you?
I guess.
You wouldn't need to go to that level of making electricity particles flow.
I think the bigger problem with that system is actually... I'm not sure, because I couldn't really see it on the Giant Bomb Quick Note, where Jeff was talking about the fact that some of his buildings were never getting water for some reason. I think that I've had it happen several times where you can get bits of road that don't connect, but they appear to be overlapping. So it's
weird.
They look... Well, sometimes they overlap completely, but sometimes you can see where it's a rounded end, like the road had ended, but it's actually on top of another bit of road. It just hasn't connected properly. And I'm not sure whether they actually would be... Just if I waited, would the car still drive across it like it was connected or not?
I doubt it.
It's just it seems like there could be problems with that sort of thing. Because if it does make a break somewhere, it would be really hard to diagnose.
You just go look at all of your roads really closely.
Yeah. And see whether they've actually connected properly.
I guess you might be able to see it from the water view to see why is it just stopping?
Yeah,
or
possibly. But I think the bigger problem with the idea of this,
it could be an interesting layer. You could have plumbing problems that they could have added.
Yeah, I guess. But then it would be quite hard.
They still have giant robot attacks.
Well, Godzilla's not giant robots this time. They went back to giant lizards.
I don't like Robot Godzilla.
Well, it looks like giant spore monster.
Okay.
Basically. What a surprise.
Another crossover.
But I think the bigger problem with the simulating stuff is traffic is... They need to implement some, because... People complained about it, and then they said it would be too much to implement. But it's just emergency service vehicles don't get priority. Move the fuck out of the way!
Yeah, they should really
That's kind of important. So you're I had one case where it was someone was injured and my ambulances turned out immediately into traffic, and both my ambulances got stuck. And by the time that traffic had moved out of the way, an ambulance from the other person's city had driven all the way down the highway and took him away. It was great.
This just seems like whenever they say, that would be too hard to do, they're just not trying hard enough, because computers are a million times faster than they were.
No, it sounds like they've used that power to perhaps make the simulation slightly closer to real life, but the problem with making it slightly closer without factoring other things just makes it awful.
Yeah, you got an uncanny valley effect.
Yeah, it's they're simulating everything, but just not well enough.
Yeah.
They've simulated more of it, but each individual part isn't simulated as good.
Yeah, or they haven't simplified things in a way that actually makes logical sense. Because as you say, the emergency vehicle priority thing is kind of important in a city with high traffic. I mean, yes, it will slow them down, but they still need to be able to get there.
And there should be a point where it's if it is gridlocked, they won't be able to move out of the way, so they will get stuck
exactly.
in traffic.
There's a couple of extra things perhaps they could have added to that system that would have made the world of difference in this case.
Yeah, but then even worse than that in relation to the traffic is the fact that everyone does U-turns.
Yeah, who does a U-turn?
That's fine as a simulation, simplification. Mainly because it's
So when they come up to a junction, can they randomly go 1, 2, 3, 4 directions, including the way they came, at the same equal probability as going in any other direction?
That is pathfinding. It's they're trying to get to a destination.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Well, most of the time, apart from when a recycling truck drives up and down.
Why would they U-turn if they're trying to get something?
Well,
I suppose there could be a side of road thing.
Yeah, it's like if the building's on the other side of the road from the direction they're coming, they need to turn around to get.
They don't know to cross the road.
Well, they can't cross the road because it's like an avenue with a central barrier.
Yeah, in that case, yeah, right.
But the trouble with it is that,
and there are some junctions in America that actually let you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, the trouble with it is that it makes traffic a lot worse than it actually is. Because what you'll have is, say you have like a two-lane, well, or a 4-lane road, 2 on each side. It's like the left-hand lane is straight across, right-hand lane is turning, or straight across. But what you actually get is like one car will be trying to do a U-turn, and if the other direction is blocked up, that car can't turn onto that and doing a U-turn.
And
so no one can turn right.
Right, okay.
And then worse than that, because they only look like one junction ahead, or, well, I guess it sort of makes sense in real life. They only think one junction ahead, so it's like, I'm going to drive straight down this road, but now I need to turn right, so I need to move into the right-hand lane. Mm-hmm. So the car that's blocking up, trying to do a U-turn is blocking up the right-hand lane, and then the car is trying to transition into the right-hand lane, blocking up the left-hand lane. So everyone's fucked.
It's a deadlock.
You know what? That could sort of happen, but as I say, it wouldn't happen if there were cars that weren't stuck in like U-turn loops.
Yeah, it's like the U-turns just jam everything up more than it would naturally.
You know, perhaps make that a less common thing that you can do.
Well, it just seems like that's a lazy simplification for pathfinding, because actually having to work out to like go all the way round a block to get back to where you were trying to go to is probably actually quite a lot of programming efforts.
Yeah, maybe
in terms of AI.
You just put a limiter on it. Like, don't do so many U-turns in a row up the same street. You know, you could have a metric to figure that out. It's like I wrote a bit of code the other day to try and figure out a problem that had to be kind of estimated and approximated. So I added a guard clause to it that said, you know, if you've tried this a couple of times and you're still not there at a good enough answer, give up, tell the user. I can't do this well enough. You know, different scenario, because obviously in the game you have to do something.
Well, I mean,
you can't just give up.
Eventually you see if they've been sitting there for ages, eventually they'll just go down the right-hand turn road and just work it out from there, I guess.
Yeah. Which again may be accurate. You know, someone, when you're sat there for a little bit, you sort of will eventually go, well, fuck you then. Just...
Yeah, I guess. But it's like, it'd be nice if they didn't.
They should start road rage incidents. Like, have people get out of the cars and start a riot.
Maybe. It would just be less U-turns would help a lot. I think.
Slightly angrier version of that REM video where everyone gets out of the car.
And then this is maybe a totally weird thing to say about the game for people who know anything about it, but I don't think it actually gives you enough information.
Really? What, even with the new UI?
Yeah, it's like for all these ridiculous overlays and shit that they've got, or like all this like crazy, like it makes everything white and then bars appear and it shows you all
the colory stuff looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it looks pretty good, but it doesn't. Most of the time, it's not giving you any actual useful data.
What, you want the numbers?
Well, no, it's not even that I want the numbers. It's like what I said about from the beta, what I said about the traffic overlay. The traffic overlay is real time.
But you can see that.
So you can see the fucking cars!
you need
I mean, like last hour or last 24 hours traffic.
Yeah, you want to be able to average it.
And then that applies to a lot of those other things. Like, if you go to the schools overlay, it's like, if it's during the school day, it's like, oh look, there's a giant bar at the school, it shows you where all the students are. And then when it's not the school day, it shows lots of little bars in all their houses. But the main problem with that is that it rates them as students or not enrolled. But not enrolled doesn't mean has never gone to school, it means not in school at the moment. So when they're spread out in all their houses, that's no data.
So if you're practicing stuff if you want to try and do improvements at night, because you know it's a problem, you can't because you can't see what happened.
You just have. Well, I mean, in that case, you go to the schools tab and you click on the bus stops and you see where your bus stops aren't, and that's probably where they aren't getting schooled.
I guess, but even so, that's kind of
but it's like that data layer is literally no data at some point.
I'm kind of disappointed by this because all of these things sound obvious.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. All this data stuff sounds obvious. The traffic, people going around in a circle constantly, the recycling van thing, sounds like someone at Maxis will have spot that early on and said, this is dumb.
Well, it's just like, I don't know how much more effort it would be, but surely you just have it so that it knows that it's been to that junction before and should go the other way.
I mean, yeah, server problems aside and region management aside, which is, let's be honest, it's a technical challenge for a company that aren't well versed in online, at all.
Yeah.
So, I can sort of forgive that. I mean, it's awful as it stands at the moment, but it may get better. I'm willing to forgive that. These game design decisions that are fundamental to your single-player thing, in a genre they've been doing since the dawn of time.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like you can't do detailed simulation. I mean, look at Dwarf Fortress. For fuck's sake.
Well, that has terrible pathway to go, so
okay.
maybe that's quite similar.
Okay, but you know what I mean. I don't know. This should be their game. This should be there should be no one else that can do it like this. And yet, in my opinion, what they've made is a subpar version of SimCity 4. It feels like 4 is still the best one of the lot.
Well, for as much as I've just been bitching about it, it's still pretty good to play, and it's like it still has mechanics that sort of feel satisfying, like especially the way like the density upgrades now, where it's based on the roads, so you upgrade the road network to increase density. But then if you want like medium wealth people, you have to build parks and they have an area of effect, and you have to...
cool.
And so you can actually control more easily like your medium wealth and high wealth population by making neighborhoods for them, basically.
Nice.
And then like all the cool stuff with like the building add-ons, so you can upgrade your buildings over time and that sort of thing. That's all cool and fine and great, and it actually makes it quite nice to play.
You see, you're right. I do like that stuff, but I'm a kind of we've talked about this before. I think about how you found the building upgrade system can sometimes be a bit weird because you kind of have to leave the space for these.
I've been getting more used to that. There are a few cases where it's been a bit misleading, though. There's because they added the thing where it shows you the outline of where the upgrades theoretically go.
Oh, cool.
So you can leave the space. But as I said before, if you haven't built a road, if you haven't boxed it in with road, it doesn't re-show it when you're laying the extra road.
Yeah, so it still does that.
So you still have to remember or box it in advance. But the trouble with it is that it shows, like with the town hall, you have like extra wings, basically, that are the departments, like the department of utility, and then you add it on. But the outline it shows for that shows it sticking out sideways, whereas you can actually place it sort of flat and it's actually thinner. So that box kind of shows the maximum rather than how you can actually make it. So you kind of have to, you wouldn't have known that until you'd done it, which is kind of unfortunate. And it can happen with that. There's other things where quite a few of these building add-ons you can attach, and it shows you where the add-ons will go. But once you've placed one, you can actually attach to that add-on. So you can extend it even further away from where the original building is by stacking add-ons onto each other.
Right.
So that once you realise that maybe you don't have to worry quite so much about those exact boxes, because in some cases it will actually let you stack them in a different direction.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, couple of things remaining, I think.
Yeah.
From what I... from this whole discussion, I guess.
We'll have more, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a lot more.
Oh, yeah, sure.
What's
It's the evolution of the online scenario will be interesting. First thing is, I'll get this sort of out of the way. Like, I have a slight minor problem with the new aesthetic, because it never looks... The new look is nice.
Yeah.
The top shift.
Well, yeah, and the sort of the nice way that they mimic telly shows with tilt shift.
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't quite look dense enough for me to be a city.
It's the grass thing, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of grass. There's a lot of empty space, which isn't quite how I imagine city centres.
Well, I still haven't got the high density, so I haven't seen how it actually pans out when it fills everything in.
I mean, I hope it does a good job of that.
I think it looks pretty packed.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to look okay with the medium density buildings, even. Especially like the low wealth ones where they have parking outside the back of the apartments, and it fills up a bit more of the green space in between the buildings.
Mm-hmm. And the final point I'll say is there is news that has happened that says EA admits it was, quote, dumb, what's been going on.
Whose quote is that?
It doesn't say, it's just from EA. But
I think
but there's a free game coming to all those that are suffering.
I think I read that's actually a quote from Maxis, not EA.
Well, yeah, an undefined free game.
Yeah, apparently we're getting something free out of it.
But, quality. You get,
Maybe, apart from it's, here, have a free one of these games on Origin. What do I even want for that? Not any of them.
Probably Dead Space 1.
That'd be alright.
is the best
It'll
one.
probably be Mass Effect 3 after I've still got that box copy of it sitting around.
You've got a copy now.
Yeah,
You need to
had
play
it
that
since
shit.
before Christmas.
You seriously need to play that.
Too late. I've started playing SimCity.
Oh, okay.
There are
If you can't get in and it says half an hour to wait, that's time to play.
Then Mass Effect won't work either.
different servers.
Maybe. Well,
There's
the
no
Origin
DRM
anyway.
like that. Yeah, that won't work the same way.
Oh, and also the other thing that was interesting is I bought the physical copy and I got Amazon day of release delivery,
Yeah.
and the disc is only 2 gigs in size. And apparently that's the whole game because it didn't actually spend long patching either.
What? That's smaller than SimCity 4.
I know, it's tiny. The back of the box says 10 gigs, but that's traditional, ridiculous estimation that's never right.
Just think,
But the literal size of the CD, like the burnt disc
Yeah.
area, 2 gigs.
yeah, it was the quote comes from Lucy Bradshaw, GM of Maxis,
Yeah.
Right.
the Maxis label, so probably marketing.
Yeah.
PR. EA have been dumb to allow the servers to collapse under the weight.
They sure have.
It's dumb. Right, we're coming to the end of this Saladcast.
The short answer is a lot more people logged on than we expected.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. Anyway,
Oh god.
Thanks for joining us for the first of Season 4
Season
of the
4!
Saladcast. We're going to have a beer and a burger.
In theory.
Sweet ass burger.
Yep, and it's going to be sweet ass. And enjoy the...
Sweet as ass?
Have you got an outro? Is it the same?
You know what? I might need to cut a new one. Yeah.
So enjoy your new outro.
That even Rob hasn't heard yet.
That none of us have heard. And
Well, normally it's just a cut of the last few seconds
yeah,
of the intro.
it is.
But
Yeah, it works out well. So enjoy that, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
It's not that.